All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 1:02. The town of Smoky Lake respectfully acknowledges that we are situated on 36 territory, the traditional lands of First Nations and Métis people. And the adoption of the agenda. Any additions or subtractions?
Subtractions? I'd like to subtract some. Can I add MPC bylaw direction? So I don't have the bylaw, I just want some input, please. To 13.1.
Okay. All right, Evelyn?
One item that won't be long at all, Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, AAIP.
13.2, I guess, yeah.
What was the acronym again?
Write down AAIP.
And Dawn, yours was.
MPC.
Oh.
Right. If there are no other additions or deletions, can I make a motion to accept? Carried. All in favor? None opposed, so that'll be carried. And we'll move on to the adoption of previous minutes and action lists. Marianne?
So for clarity, I'm just not sure when we went to the 14.1 and we don't have any type of motion or anything. It was redacted, but we didn't file for information or we didn't do anything with it, so we don't have a motion.
No,
or otherwise.
it's okay not to have a motion.
Okay.
So and you'll hear that, I've heard that with some organizations, sometimes they like to have a motion for everything, and they'll accept as information, but you don't have to, and we did not have a motion for that.
Evelyn?
I'll make the motion that we adopt the minutes for January 15th, 2024 regular council meeting as presented.
All right, all in favor? None opposed, so carried.
I need my IT tech. No. How come I went to Google Documents, but I can't download the reports? See from here. I went to open. Oh, I had to download. I was looking for that. Thank you.
No problem. All right, if I get a motion regarding the action list, Mel?
Make a motion to accept the action list, January 15th, 2020.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. And since there are no delegations, we'll move to public hearing. 105 on the dot. All right. So, good morning. My name is Amy Chernichin, Mayor of Town of Smoky Lake, and I'll be the chair of the hearing today. On behalf of council, I'd like to welcome all of you here today. I'd like to take a moment to introduce the councilors in attendance. I'll just have everybody go around and introduce themselves, starting with Terry.
Terry McWachick, Town Councillor.
Evelyn Copes, Town Councillor.
Melody Morton, Town Councillor.
Marianne Trotsky-Zursky, Deputy Mayor.
So planning advice will be provided by Raman Sahota, the Town Developer Officer. I declare the public hearing open at 1:06 p.m. And the ground rules of the hearing and the order of speaking will be: the CAO and Development Officer will speak first to outline facts and present their recommendations on the proposed bylaw. Members of the public who have signed in will be given the opportunity to speak in the order that you are signed in. Anyone else who did not sign in will be given the opportunity to speak. The CAO and Development Officer will be given the opportunity to present closing remarks and address any of the issues presented. Councilors will be given the opportunity to ask questions. Council will then end the hearing and consider the information received at the public hearing. Only councilors may ask questions of speaker during the hearing. If any person wishes to ask questions of a speaker, they must ask council to ask the question on their behalf during the presentation. And council will only ask the question if the council wishes to have an answer. Council will consider the representations made regarding the bylaw and any other matter council considers appropriate. I would at this time ask Dawn to confirm this public hearing has been advertised and notice has been made in accordance with the applicable legislation.
Yes, it has. The public hearing notice for bylaw number 014-2023 road closure was advertised in the Redwater Review during the weeks of January 24th and 31st and is attached.
I will ask the CEO and or development officer to summarize the purpose of the hearing.
I can read it. The purpose of this hearing is to obtain public input on establishing closing to public travel portions of a public highway in accordance to section 22 of the Municipal Government Act. First reading of bylaw number 014-2023 was given on November 27th, 2023.
Before hearing from the public today, I ask the CAO to advise any written submissions received.
No, there was not.
All right. Does council have any questions or points of clarification they wish to ask the CAO and or development officer? No. I will now call upon persons signed up on the sign-in sheet who are in support of the proposed bylaw. If there are any. No. Okay. I will now call upon persons signed up on the sign-in sheet who are opposed, if there are any. And if there is anyone else who has not spoken and wishes to speak, now is your time. All right. And I'll ask one more time, do any members of council have any?
Excuse me. Hello. Hello.
Oh, hello. Hi, Hank.
Yeah, I'd just like some clarification exactly which portion of which road is actually proposed for closure. Can you put up a map or something more specific or be more specific on? Thank you.
All right. It's in the ad, actually, that was advertised, Hank.
I don't have a copy of the ad in front of me. Can you please display that on your screen or something so I can have a better idea of which portion?
So Hank, I'm pulling it up, but as I'm speaking, it's the road beside the what's it called? The old dairy. The old milk factory. We're just exchanging land to give them room for development of the new church, but I will pull it up for you.
So that would be going directly westbound onto the back alley, and there was a previous road allowance that would have went into the dairy property. Is that the portion you're talking about?
Yes, I believe you're correct. It's the one that goes east-west in between the dairy and Shell.
Okay, and it was a road allowance, but there was never any physical road constructed. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Is that the planner? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, fine. I have no further questions. Thanks.
All right. Being that there are no further presentations, I declare the public hearing closed at 1:10 p.m. PM.
Yeah, that's right. We're normally in the morning.
All right. So we will, anything else? In case I missed something that must be done. No? Okay. We'll move to administrative reports. So since that's, sorry, I'm assuming it's the CAO's report that's first.
Yes.
So, John, if you want to start.
My meetings, my list of meetings is there for within my report. A few other items I've listed at the bottom. One was Councilor McAvoy, at the last council meeting, you asked how long the water loss study was, and it's funding till the end of 2024. Although most of the work that they're doing for the town is completed, they just need a little bit more. They haven't received much information from Vilna, so they're more working with them moving forward, and we will bring them in to do a more thorough as they finalize some of those details. They're quite happy with it at this point. And our lights in the town office were replaced over the last week. Thank you to staff for their patience while that was happening while we were open, and residents that came in and were very patient with us as we had lights off. But, so we're very happy with that, and hopefully we see an impact on our power bills. Anything else for your consideration? And I am, as I mentioned earlier, I'm away on February 14th to 22nd coming up, this information. Throw that in there, it is in the council calendar.
Evelyn?
Just following up, we have, the town, we're gonna have a meeting between the town and the county.
Regarding that ICC request,
No, it wasn't an ICC, it was motion 641, 2023, October 3rd. About the MCC.
I submitted the request to the county for the next meeting, but haven't heard anything back. So it is with them, but I could definitely follow up and ask to have a meeting set so we can actually formalize that, but I did submit that the day after, I believe, the meeting, so.
And I'm gonna forward you an email, because there was a request over a year ago, but the for the next joint, about the location for that joint meeting and adding a tour of Niganon for both councils. So I'll forward that to you after the meeting.
It's been that long since we've had a joint meeting.
It has.
Wow. Okay. Any other questions?
Not, we'll move on to Rochelle's.
Good afternoon, everyone. So you guys have my written report, but I'll highlight a few things. So on January 22nd, we actually held a board workshop. It was a planning strategy session, and it was held by the Community Development Unit. And so for those of you who are already familiar, they do a lot of support for the nonprofit space and offer a lot of free online training. And they have a 4 to 6 week lead time, but we had put in this request with them probably about 4 to 5 months ago, and we knew that we were gonna have an influx of new board members coming on. So this is the first session of several, like we think it'll take 2 to 3 to get through the entire end-to-end process. But I just want to highlight that because if you're working on other boards, it was very well received and it was really productive. And so the board was, it almost acted as a team building as well. And so, like I said, we've done that one, but we plan to do a follow-up of 2 or 3, and all of that was included free of service through the CDU. So very impressed with the level of service that was able to provide free of charge. The second thing I'll highlight is we were able to fill our 6-month contract position. So Robert Winning is joining our team as an FCSS and FRN coordinator. So very excited to have him on board. And I will plan to have both of our FRN contractors come in just to do a face-to-face introduction at our next council meeting. And then the last thing I'll highlight is our senior benefit session. So on January 26th, we held a seniors benefit session at the Seniors Drop-In Center. It was led by a representative on behalf of the GOC, and that was specifically to talk about senior benefits, but as well as really highlight the new dental plan program that was rolled out at the end of December. And that I think just really showed the appetite for our seniors to get information quickly when there is new programs coming out. And so I think that will be an area of opportunity that we can continue to focus on as we move forward across this fiscal. And then lastly, Councillor Cobes, you had asked about data around the food program. So I had just included the month-over-month view. As you can see, it did soften. The softness started in summer, and we haven't really seen the uptick get back to where we were in the first 6 months after launching the program. That being said, in December, we did do a second insert about the basket program, and we will try to kind of reboost it as we come into the new year. But Anderson's is very pleased with the partnership thus far and the feedback that they've gotten from those that are using the program. And what we are seeing is consistency of those using it and that they're ordering multiple baskets. So on average, they're getting about 3 baskets per customer using this program. So I will open it up for questions.
Jerry?
What do you do with the revenue?
With the revenue from the food basket program?
Yeah.
It just goes directly to Anderson. So we collect the revenue here. And then we transfer it over to Anderson's, and then, so
So
we're
then-
basically like the fiscal managers,
then-
but it goes straight into.
Right, maybe for transparency, you could put expense the same amount, see how at the top you have monthly average of community members' baskets and revenue,
Mm-hmm.
and then underneath put an expense of 922, so then
That's
it's
right.
transparent that it's a
That it's
zero.
going, yeah.
That's
We're not
right, so there's no revenue to anybody, right?
Yeah,
It zeros
absolutely.
itself out.
Yeah, it zeroes itself out. That's a really good point. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Dawn?
I just wanted to also add that they're currently setting up the FCSS FRN space over at the provincial building, and just so you know that Rochelle will actually be trialing working out of that building with her staff, so she'll have her FCSS team in office over there. Maybe even board meetings, and we'll see where we get with it, which is kind of nice because we're bursting at the seams in this building, so, especially with an intern coming in and then our seasonal coming in. Yeah. So we're giving Raman an office, but we've told him that it's on a 6-month trial
It's on a
basis in
trial.
case we have to take it back. But our hope is that we just continue to grow FCSS and have a need for more space, not less. So very exciting.
Evelyn?
First of all, thank you this is awesome. Love that. When I saw the graph, I was like, oh, that's just. Admin is beginning to learn what I love. So thank you. And then thank you for your comments about that money part. But thank you because I was really wanting to see how well the program is doing. And I think it's important to say, at least it's the same core group of people that are using it. And the Andersons are fine the way that it is. So as lovely as it would be to grow the program, we're actually okay where it is
Yes,
right
like it
now.
can be
Like, this is-
sustainable the way it
yes,
is today.
That's what I was
That's
wanting
what
to know.
They aligned on,
Yeah.
when we looked at the annual data.
Yeah.
They were aligned that if it stayed consistent with where it's at today, that
Yeah.
it's sustainable as is. We believe that there's probably still upside to be done with communication and further
Yes,
education,
yeah, I
but
agree.
right now it's sustainable as is.
And what about having even well, also now that we have the new website could accommodate some more information as well as potentially the
Yeah.
applications for it as well too, and so on. So that's great. Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit more about the seniors benefit session too? Because I believe 25 plus sounds really, really good. Was that what they were expecting? Were they pleased with the turnout or were they expecting more?
No, we were all very pleased with the turnout because it was on a quick turnaround. So what happened was I saw that the dental plan had been rolled out, but there was not a lot of information provided, and so I was hesitant to broadcast that without fully understanding the ins and outs of who qualifies, how do they qualify, which dental officer are going to be a part of the program, et cetera. So I had reached out to the GOC asking could they help us navigate that. So they offered, yes, but they had a tight turnaround of 2 weeks. So I only had 2 weeks from the time that we started educating the community to the time that we were hosting it, which I was anticipating even less than this. But to have 25 seniors come out within 2 weeks of us from announcing it to hosting it, we were really pleased with the turnout. And those that were there were very engaged and very grateful for the session. So the feedback was extremely positive.
Yeah, and I can tell you anecdotally, a lot of word of mouth went behind that, so.
Absolutely.
A lot of the right people that heard about it got out and talked.
And they really rallied around
Yeah,
it, which
they did.
was, I mean, again, it shows the engagement of our seniors.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
their hunger to want to get that information out there, yeah.
And then going back to what you were saying about the board workshops, that's kind of following, and I know the group that you're talking about, so they did it complimentary,
Yes,
so they'll do municipal boards. Or.
I don't know, okay, I don't
That's what I
know.
was wondering about.
I'm not, like, cause this was under the nonprofit space, so I'm not sure, because they don't cover just nonprofit under that group, but I don't know if they do it for free for everybody, or if that was because it was under the nonprofit
Nonprofit.
umbrella.
That's right.
But I do know that, they take 4 to 6 week lead time, but when you put in the request, you can outline everything that you need, which is why there is a total of 25 hours free dedicated to this project of working with our board to help with planning and development.
So that's excellent, you got.
Absolutely, and it was something that I was able to share out with the FCSS network as well as a best practice, so then it's something that other FCSSs that weren't aware can then leverage that as there's a lot of focus on board governance and development across the network.
Thanks for reports, excellent as always.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Right. If there are no other questions for Rochelle, we'll move to Robin.
Hello.
Report.
So for my update, just attended the Alberta Hub meeting. Pretty heavy on information on what we can do more as a region to increase our economic development. And I met with a potential investor who might be looking into a sizable investment, but it's at a standstill at the moment, so hoping to get that a little bit pushed through, hopefully. Our website's been launched, however, there is a lot of work that needs to be done, but it's a trial and error basis, pretty much, and anything that seems glaringly missing, we will try to urge or put the uncertainty to get it fixed as soon as possible. And just bringing forward a encroachment policy and then the intent to designate a municipal historical resource as well. And as well for our Maria closed lots, everything is done except for one purchaser. Once that is done, we're going to be moving forward with the development permit. And that process, we're hoping to start in April, because I have a couple that are eager to get the project started as soon as possible, as soon as the snow clears. So that's very exciting, and we will very, very likely be seeing houses being put up there this year within the summer.
Any questions for Robin?
Actually, a comment. So website, I'm thinking if anyone has feedback on the website, if they just want to send it through you. And then we'll, because we are, you're right, Niganon's not on there, the school is on there. But there's certain things that, you know, we copied a lot of information from the previous one, but nothing carried over automatically. It's a lot of work. And everyone's doing it off the side of their desk, which is largely Ramen and then some art. With everything else going on as well. So just if you send them through Crystal, it kind of streamlines it, and then we'll just continue to pick away at it, continue to make improvements, make it bigger, better. But it's hard when you don't have somebody designated for communications, unfortunately. We're getting there.
Good to hear. Evelyn?
Currently, it says at the bottom, webmaster is Ed Booth.
Okay.
We're gonna change it to town at Smoky.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
that-
It's things like that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Please.
well, that one's the first one because
Definitely.
no more Ed, correct?
Correct.
Are we finished with? Okay, so it's officially 100% town office
Yes.
owned and operated? Okay. So. So, just a couple of questions because there's been a posting for municipal planning commission. So bylaw, we're looking at the bylaw for municipal planning commission right now as well.
Yeah, Don will be bringing forth what direction we want to proceed in.
So I added it to the agenda today.
13.1.
13.1 to talk about it. Thank you, Councillor Cox, for catching that it was missing key information in the bylaw. So I'll be looking for some direction to bring that back before we move forward with actual appointment.
So you're. All right. then
So we'll talk
leave
about that in 13.1 and then I'll bring it back to the next meeting. Yeah.
If nothing else, we'll move to the fire report.
I haven't been to a meeting for so long, I forgot already. As you can see, my report is presented in the agenda or in the agenda or. And I just, any questions? I know you guys know I've been hacked. I did talk to Dawn the morning of when Evelyn contacted me, and about 1,700 RCMP members contacted me and said, is this really Juanita? And I said, yes, and then there's like, you sent us an email and I like, so I did contact Dawn. Dawn, thank you for your help on getting everything. I've worked with CORE And they've changed what they had to change.
They really dug into it. I'm still waiting for information on how bad it would be for the people that clicked on it, because I've heard mixed things and I don't necessarily agree that all of it is legit. So in terms of what this virus can do, but, or whatever it is, we don't even know if it was a virus. But they, you have to be careful because they can't just click on a link, right? So I was waiting for more information back from them. I'm not sure if I got that this morning.
It was not me, it was not. So, just an update on that. I did talk to Deputy Chief Spencer Krulak. We are gonna have a work experience program, but the two individuals are Brody Pybus and Eric Schwab will be doing it again. They have been informed that it is strictly for credits. There is no hourly pay going towards them this year, so they are already pre-warned with this. So that was just information, that just happened over the last couple days here, so that, and I know John has fixed our water disaster that we had when somebody left our door open. So that has been taken care of, and there's nothing else happening at the hall. So March 11th, you guys are all welcome to join us for our AGM at the fire hall. 7 o'clock start. Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I hear nothing. It's good, good job.
Really detailed, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and just one more thing, I did talk to Dawn. Every second report's gonna be a thorough report, and every second one's gonna be a point form, just a quick
Update.
high-end
Good.
stuff for you.
Yeah, so one will be a full month, the other will be in between.
So my reports look a little different, that's why.
Now,
Evelyn?
I appreciate that, because I was like writing some notes too, and I wasn't sure whether to bring it up during your report, actually talk about it at the end of this meeting, but the difference between the administrative reports, because I find that, yes, yours, quite a few details and how much of that actually can be maybe consolidated and maybe more, but if you've had that conversation with Donna, that's great. Carrie?
And I think prior to this regional fire thing, we had asked her to put a lot of the statistics in it, so we're able to have them ready for negotiations when that time comes. So that was a request
Thank you.
from council to Chief Kozakar to start tracking all that and bringing it to us.
Thank you for that clarification, because I was looking at these going,
Yeah.
wow, are we ever asking a lot of our chief to do? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. That's John.
Everyone. Good afternoon.
I'm gonna say that this setup feels like almost like a firing line, doesn't it? Next up, don't worry, they have your back.
Highlight a few things from my
Literally and figuratively.
highlight a few things from my report here. So as Juanita mentioned, we repaired the leak in the fire hall. It was on the piping attached to our bulk water station. So unfortunately it was down for a couple of days. We were able to put together a temporary repair because the proper replacement was a couple of weeks to get in. It has been replaced now with the proper part for it. Another thing related to the bulk water is the credit card machine. I think it may have been the elements made it break down. So the new one's ordered, it should be here hopefully this week. Decorative lights at Iron Horse staging area are having electrical problems, a couple of them. We changed the light bulbs in them, but they're still not working, so we're looking at some options to maybe replace them with LEDs as part of the grant. And just get it repaired at the same time. The door for our south shop for safety and evacuation accessibility. It's in the process of installation right now.
John, is that the Equipment door or man door?
It's a man door
Okay.
at the very back side of the shop. The outdoor rink's set up now, along with the shed and picnic tables and fire pit. Unfortunately, we weren't really able to maintain it last week because of the water ban. We weren't allowed to use water for that
So
purpose.
warm.
Yeah, also that. The town-owned house had furnace issues. It was repaired immediately, but we received a recommendation from the plumber that did the repair, and he's,
We're taking a look further into it.
okay.
We knew that when we purchased it.
That's what I was gonna
Gonna
say,
say,
there was.
Wasn't that one of
It was aging, so.
Yeah, he recommended possibly replacing it in the next year or two, as problems will be more often and more expensive over time. We set up the council chambers here. I hope it's good.
Very nice, we're
Satisfactory.
gonna have, yeah.
Thank you. I've done a lot of sidewalk sweeping, snow removal, sanding throughout the town. Followed up on various complaints from citizens. Some related to pets and some with vehicles. We requested a quote for gopher control for the town. You may have seen my map in the report that specifies which areas. Still waiting on that quote. Crosswalk sign by Home Depot wasn't working during the extreme cold. We removed the sign. And took it back to our shop to warm up for a little bit. Tested the voltage was low, so we charged it overnight. Set it back up the next day, and it's working as it was before, and we've been checking on it every few days after that.
We're giggling because it would be great to have a Home Depot, Home Hardware.
Oh, sorry.
That's right.
That's what, no, it's what it's cute.
Terry?
The sign, is it solar?
It's solar,
And is it new, still under warranty?
not on the battery. The battery is, I was told the battery is not under
Right,
warranty.
but the charging solar is working,
Yeah,
just the battery did.
yeah, it just had low voltage. The panel may have been covered.
So,
And
okay,
I think with a lot of the temperature, that made it worse, made it not functional.
Okay.
But ever since, it's been functioning normally. The EV signs throughout the town were installed. We aided FCSS with their move into the new building, provincial building. So I realized that none of the gas stop valves, the underground valves that shut off the flow to various areas, they weren't plotted in our GIS system, which can be difficult if there's an emergency situation. The employees need to know where that infrastructure is to respond quickly and safely.
Well, I don't wanna cut you off, but, so you guys do carry maps in all your trucks though, with those valves on them? No.
I did, in the meantime, I printed it off to have with the guys, but
We're gonna add.
I was gonna say, cause you,
I'm
well,
I'm adding
you're
it.
new here, but they always had them in their vehicles before. So, but yeah, no, it's a good idea to add it to the GIS in one master base instead of on paper, but.
Yeah, so I was able to get that data.
The water line, the one location.
So.
I was able to get that data, and I spoke with the GIS provider, and all that data will be implemented into our GIS system.
Nice.
It'll take probably a few weeks, but in the meantime, I've made sure that all of the employees have access to that information in paper form. Last week, there was a water ban for the water treatment plant in Edmonton. We issued a social media alert about that, and the town has been compliant with that. Public Works has been compliant with that. We haven't been washing vehicles, haven't been flooding the rink. we've been sparing water. And that ban was just lifted on Friday, I believe. And everything's back operational.
Thank you. Mel?
I said two questions. You're saying the lights at the Iron Horse staging area.
It's the decorative lights, they look like lamps.
Like the gazebo.
I think we're calling the Iron Horse staging area something different. That's what I think I'm, like Pumpkin Park?
Pumpkin Park.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking
Yeah,
about? I just, I was clarifying,
Sorry.
because, no, don't be sorry, because our staging area, you like, don't, it's not much of a staging area, so you can't really tell what it is right now, but it's behind. I was just confused where it was.
Talking about the park.
In the,
In the, yeah.
Okay, so that's Pumpkin Park.
no,
Sorry, I
that's,
should have caught that in his report, actually.
don't even be sorry, it's all fine. And the other thing I just wanted
If I
to,
might interrupt, it proves our point about what we've been talking about, the difference between not having staging area and this, and thank you, John.
actually, nobody knows where the staging area is.
You just proved the point.
Yeah. No, it's definitely true. And the other thing I just wanted to clarify, so, and I think it's already been brought up, which is for everybody in this, the complex actually owns that shed, the skating rink shed.
They
and
contacted us.
Fire pit and stuff.
Yeah, Sharon messaged or called me to see about getting it, like make sure we were setting it up on time. Cause she said we usually use it for over at and I told her, I said, we moved the skating rink though. But I told her we moved it, and she said, well, we can still use it over there. But
Okay,
then she wasn't sure about the fire pit, if we could have the fire pit over there.
I don't, yeah.
I
think it happened, but
I
in
think we did.
reverse maybe to that, like it was already moved.
but when she called me, she didn't know that.
Okay, okay.
But you're right, because the
Okay.
guy, I asked the guys if we were gonna move it, they said, we did, and I said, okay, cause Sharon just called me and said, we could use it.
Okay.
I
just wanna
think
make
you're right, but, and then I still
sure.
wanna look at the fire pit, if we move that too, just to make sure, actually, that's something we can get Juanita maybe to check out. If it's safe to have the fire pit where it is, cause we moved it over to the park instead of in the parking lot to allow for better snow clearing closer to the outhouse, cause the building's not always open, and it's more level. Is what I'm understanding, and it actually looks really good in there, and then we'll have the permanent boards going up. So we'll have to look at what that looks like too, for next fall.
No, it looks good, and I'm glad that we have Frank. I just want to make sure that new people,
Should we
we're
start
always
meeting?
changing. And I just want to make sure everybody knows what it is.
Yes.
It's not a town owned thing.
Terry?
Better communication.
With the Ventrek snow blower, where were we blowing snow that we pick up a large rock?
I believe the pathway from the to the hospital there in that little stretch.
And one last question, and you won't know the answer, but Dawn might. Do you know when, for the snow blower on the skid steer?
Mhm.
When we tried it last year, and now I see that did we use our skid steer or did we use somebody else's at that? Do you know what I'm saying? Cause is that the used one that we bought?
Yes, but I think we bought it at the end of the year, didn't we?
It was so it was before Dawn was here. It was 2 years ago
Oh,
that they
that one.
tried it.
Oh, okay.
And they tried the county one.
So they
So it was
used
a
it, it was
different-
mounted on their skid steer, so they demoed it
Yes,
with their.
it wasn't
Thank
ours.
you.
Just looking at it, you would think it works, but it just doesn't move at the proper speed that allows you to properly snow blow. So, not at first glance, I would understand mistaking that.
But that's not gonna be, oh, sorry, I guess. It's not gonna be a big expense to get that rewired.
Well, I have to follow up with the heavy technician that came out. He was in the process of working on that.
Cause in our budget, when did we capital purchase of that skid steer, do you remember?
The skid steer or the snow blower attachment? Or the blower? Skid steer we've had for a while.
Yeah,
I'm talking about replacement.
yeah, so
I don't like to
basically what I'm
replace it.
saying is, instead of
How do you
spending money on this older one we have. The snow blower on the skid steer was to remove snow off the street, that was the intention that when we bought it. So if we're gonna be buying a new skid steer in 25 or whenever, I'm just asking that question, right? But that's all right, Dawn will
I
get
think,
back to you.
I think we just spent a bunch, we had it in the budget, I think, and then it was removed, so we just spent bunch of money repairing it.
Oh, okay,
So it probably will be in there now for a few more years,
Okay.
because we, instead of
Upgrading
selling,
it,
we,
yep.
we repair it, so we should be good for a couple years at least.
All right.
Thank you.
Nope, you guys said that.
Oh, sorry.
You're done.
The fire, I've got questions.
Oh, you put your hand up in here.
I did, no, I got, okay.
Sorry.
So, no, that's all right. So first of all, I'm not sure if you've been on Facebook, but there's quite a few people in the community that have said, welcome, John, and, said glowing things. So make sure that you check it out, because it was actually very positive to see. Facebook's an ugly place, but the post about
I
you,
didn't see
there
it.
was quite an outpouring of the community.
I did see it on
positive.
the first day. Yeah.
Okay, well, check it out, because there's been lots of sense. Yeah, love to see the new uniform with the logo and everything's, how spiffy you're looking with your new uniform. The electric vehicle signs, that's just the ones in town, that doesn't include the ones that we have for the highway, right? Just
Those were already,
those were up,
those
so
were
are we
done
done with
before,
this?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I remember that, okay. And excellent report, just want to say that, thank you very much. And the one thing that I wanted to make a comment about is the water meters. So I know, I'm privy to more information about the water meters, but I just want to point out that it actually could have it did negatively affect the sale. It's all like of said property with the water meter, and I know that that has nothing to do with you, but just to make sure that we keep water meters on hand, because that came down to a crunch, and I know someone who did good PR and facilitate, like, making sure that
yeah, there was a location where we didn't have, the location was part of the issue of the water meter. Of the the shut off valves.
Shut off.
CC.
Yeah, the CC.
But the
But you
water,
did chase it down.
yeah, the meter itself was broken. It was in, not a regular size that we deal with, I would assume. So, and I got it as quickly as we could.
no, if anything, no blame on you personally. But the reason I'm mentioning here is because it is still something that felt that it was the town. So now I get to, in this particular case, I get to use the generic town rather than pointing my finger at specific people. But just want to point that out, because I know behind the scenes where it created a lot more stress because the town was not able to do the water meter. And with that, does that mean that we didn't have a map where it was clearly located? Is that okay?
It wasn't listed, because most are clear and they're in GIS.
The CC valves, not really in the GIS
We have a
software.
map.
It's in the paper forms, yeah.
Now we didn't have, so then it took a little longer to find that, and then because it's a non-standard, because we keep some sizes, but we didn't have that non-standard size, is what I understood.
Of the water meter,
Okay.
Because it was more of a commercial.
It's
So
more
More of
about,
a commercial building, so it wouldn't be the same as
So-
what's used in, yeah.
okay, good. And thanks for that clarification too. Oh, it's on my motion, is that why everybody's looking at me?
No, I was asking if that was it.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, now I know.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
All right, if we can get a motion to accept administrative reports. Marianne?
I'd like to move to accept the administrative reports, verbal and written, as presented. And you want me to list them, or?
I don't think so, unless, all in favor? None opposed, so carried. And we'll move to 7.1, deferred items, eco station garbage cans. Sorry, Esso gas.
So this was brought up recently, when a complaint was made about the garbages not being emptied. And then we looked back into some history on these garbage cans. So, there was a motion made several years ago, but that a temporary, or for that year, there was a conversation about entering into an agreement to have, the owners of the Esso, so enter into agreement with Brian and Lisa regarding the emptying of the garbage cans so that they would help during this busy summer months and on the holidays. So the comment was to bring this back for discussion. That, it doesn't look like that agreement was actually ever put into place, although when, in speaking with, Brian, he acknowledged that, yes, we had done that in the past and he is more than willing to work with us. So I just brought forward a few different options, you know, one, so they are on town property. If you look at the map below, they look like they're, not that you can see the town property line very well on this map, but they are just outside of that on town property. So my thoughts were, depending on what council wants to do, is we continue to do them, but have an agreement, a written agreement in place with the owners of Esso that their staff will be responsible for emptying and cleaning up any loose garbage on evenings, weekends and holidays, including just days like between Christmas and New Year's when we don't have staff here. Or we could request to move the garbage cans so that they're actually on Esso property and they become their property. I think I had 3 options. Bill? Yeah, that was it. Or whatever you would like.
I think, like, I think if we could come up with an agreement to work with them, I think it's a good location for them. I'm not saying they need to do it all the time, but the garbage is coming from them mostly and from their businesses, so if we could come to some kind of arrangement. However, I'm under the impression that one of the garbage cans is actually theirs and it's locked.
Well, they added a garbage can, and at one point, when we had the complaint over Christmas, it was locked, and it was also facing traffic, so if a vehicle pulls up against it, you can't open it. So we couldn't get to it to empty it. Is it unlocked now, John? You know?
Yes,
So it's now
accessible.
unlocked, so inaccessible. But that
okay.
was one of the issues with that one, is they had gone and they had checked it, and they'd even gone that the day right after the holidays, so the Tuesday after New Year's. And then we got the complaint on the Wednesday. They had been there already. It's just they couldn't actually access the garbage can because there's a vehicle parked in front of it. And then they didn't.
Sorry, can I add? I'm not too sure yet, but we may still have to turn it around, but it is accessible, but if there is a vehicle parked there, then we have to wait for them to move.
That was what,
I like the recommendation. I think if Brian and Lisa are willing to like work with us on it and we'll come to an arrangement, I think the recommendation is a good one.
yeah, I agree.
And they seem open to that, so.
Marianne? I agree and support what's been said. Just a quick question to administration. Do we have any other town-owned garbage cans, like say, for example, at Complex or Centex, or is this just the only scenario that this?
Well, we have them all over town, right, on like the street here and whatnot. That's, as far as I know, those are the only ones that border on another property, but I mean, we have them in front of the dentist office up here, right? So we do have them in various locations in front of businesses that we maintain. I believe that one was added, okay, and from what I understand, again, I just hear history and I might not always be correct on what I'm hearing, is that there was a lot of truck drivers and whatnot. So the idea being, if there's garbage bins right there, people pull up along that lane, they'll use them and maybe there'll be less litter. Unfortunately, sometimes they don't always use them well and there's still litter, and that's when we go pick it up and we will request that they also assist.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
I don't think it's right in front of doctor's.
All right. Everyone is, go ahead, Terry.
I'll move that the town of Smoky Lake pursue an agreement with Brian and Lisa Jones, owners of the Esso gas station located at 5504 44th Avenue in Smoky Lake, to ensure the town garbage receptacles are emptied on a daily basis, including weekends and stat holidays, and litter is collected from the pull-out area located in front of the business, and agree the town will empty garbage cans during the work week, and that Esso staff, or I'll make the motion that Esso would be responsible to empty as needed after hours, weekends and holidays, for administration to formalize a written agreement with the said owners.
All right, all in favor? None opposed, so carried. All right, 7.2, RCMP Town Hall for Smoky Lake residents.
So when Sergeant Doctor was here, she suggested that maybe we would want to do a town hall meeting such as what they had for the county. I see they've got some scheduled, I believe, for the villages as well. We initially came up with a few different dates for her that we were bringing back to council, but I did ask administration to run those dates past Anita to make sure she was available, or they were available. And unfortunately, it narrowed it down to one date. So sorry, I didn't catch that until it was time to publish the agenda. So there is only one date. So if this doesn't work, we will have to bring it back. So we're proposing on the 27th, and this one would be more oriented towards in town. The one we attended for the county was very rural. So this one will target more in town. And then we can do it, we did include a few different locations. So the National Hall's there, but it could be the drop-in center or the curling rink or another location as suggested by council.
Jerry?
So with it being so close to the last one, was it Anita that recommended we do the town one?
Yes. And the county, I just saw on social media that the villages were advertising one as well. I think the idea is it'll be oriented specific to residents in those areas. Although I do believe we had residents from town attending that one. We could recommend that it get pushed to a later date as well if you prefer.
To the fall, Evelyn?
It's just so close, like again, and even in the recommendation National Hall, it looks like a repeat rather than something that we just had one. So I find it, the idea of going back to the National Hall now, it's only specifically for town, I don't see what that's gonna achieve.
Marianne?
I would support a recommendation to future date it, maybe to the fall, just that it is that Easter week or Good Friday and yeah, too close to previously held.
Okay, I'm good with the fall.
So a motion that Town of Smoky Lake
On a little button, I've come across that. Go like this. Okay,
Town of
so-
Smoky Lake contact Sergeant Doctor, recommend that the town hall meeting for RCMP, or sorry, Smoky Lake Crime Prevention Town Hall meeting be deferred to the fall. Does that work?
Yep.
Did you get that?
Okay. Evelyn will make that motion.
Evelyn's gonna make the motion that Dawn just said about deferring to the fall.
All right, all in favor? And opposed, so carried. 7.3, rescind motion 386-2023 and approve new invoice.
So I have to apologize. I looked for whether it was an estimate or a quote in the paperwork, but unfortunately with the foreman having left the municipality, I couldn't find the record that showed where this dollar amount came from. So it came in higher but I couldn't challenge it because I didn't have a quote. And if it was an estimate, it's a bad estimate, but so we're asking to rescind and pay the set full amount.
Mel, I have a feeling that's something to say.
I have something to say. So he didn't give a written quote. He got a quote, and if you listen to the meeting where he presented it, I believe we said, "Are you sure that's what it is?"
Yes.
And he said it was. So I'm slightly irritated that it's double.
Well, and usually,
Because we make our motions and we make our decisions based on what it's gonna cost our ratepayers, and for something to be not in paper, double the cost, it probably would have changed my recommendation at this time to a cost sharing or something like that. So I am very
and we will make sure that we
frustrated.
have a paper trail.
I know, I
The
just
actual
need to get my
attached
words
quote.
out.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yes.
like I know we have to pay the bill, so obviously we're gonna vote in favor of it, but I need to get the words
What if
out.
they won't make the motion? So legally we have to pay it,
Yeah.
but we wanted the transparency back, because it's operating, we could have paid it, but we wanted the transparency back to you that we ended up paying $17.70 for this job.
Mary Ann, and then
Yeah,
Mary.
and so I think we were tied, but, and so then what we're in question is the gravel. I don't recall at the meeting that there was any discussion about the gravel as opposed to the scope of work. And then, so this is, July 23rd, and I'm seeing an invoice that was, dated over 5 months later, January. So I'm not really sure what's happening.
Terry?
My suggestion is to send, if possible, like Mel said she saw it on the meeting, that it was a confirmed quote from our foreman. So to see if that would help out, and maybe, is there more done than what the quote was supposed to have been for, like?
No, they was to tear out the sidewalk and then put in new gravel or new driveway, which the gravel has to go underneath, like it's how you build up the cement pad, right? So it's just, the issue is, unless we weren't supposed to be doing the removal, unless we were supposed to be doing the removal, is the only thing I could think of. But I doubt it, because it's not something we would typically do, because we need to get equipment, so. But without a written quote, like if it was an estimate, well, for one, I would have marked it out, but I would have put a contingency in there. But a written quote is firm, but we didn't have the paper trail there, we just had the confirmation from him. So to me, we have to pay it, we learn from it, and make sure that we have written quotes. So when we say yes, we are confident that we have that in our hands, and then also make sure that we're including some contingencies in these things as well. Should always have about a 10% contingency.
Yeah.
20 sometimes.
All right.
So it was the big thing was transparency, so you know how much we paid for this project.
Mel?
I did just wanna say, I originally thought the quote was curb cutting, not tear out a sidewalk, cause I think if we had seen an estimate or we had been told we're gonna tear out a sidewalk and put a new one in, we all would have been like, well, you're never gonna get that for $1,000. So I believe the original was curb cutting to allow access for their driveway, not removing the sidewalks is that's,
Looking at it.
but it looks like they tore it all out and replaced the
I
whole
was
thing,
just
which
gonna
is not
say
what
that.
we had approved for, so.
Terry?
There's 23 feet
Mhm.
of town sidewalk, it was just supposed to be the driveway. So they didn't do what we requested, they tore out the whole.
But did they not do what was requested, or
No.
did they do what was requested by our previous foreman? That's the issue we have.
We don't know.
We don't have the paper trail, the communications, what was directed from the previous foreman who no longer works here. So this is the work that they did and we were invoiced on, but it's hard to challenge it, being that we don't know
Okay,
what
but
we
here's
do.
the next thing then, if I get a new sidewalk in front of my property, I'm gonna pay frontage. So the request was from the property owner for a driveway access to their property. If that was if this was over and above, I don't wanna be the bad person here, but any other resident will be paying frontage. So if they got a complete new sidewalk, maybe we should look into the frontage thing. Right, because we agreed to do a driveway entrance. And from what I'm reading here, it wasn't just a driveway entrance, it was the whole sidewalk.
So I'm just looking at last year's RFD and even his request compared to what was done.
If I may, in the RFD, it's 16 feet versus what's invoiced for 23 feet.
Double wide garage.
We can chase it some more,
But
see if there's anything.
just
we
look
can
into
do.
the possibility if there's more than, but 23 feet wouldn't do the whole frontage either, would it?
Maybe, no.
I'm just gonna say that
This was
we,
replacing the sidewalk,
We
right?
learned to
the
listen.
recommendation, I think we should just make the motion as per the recommendation. I would like maybe a follow-up or a, I wish I could see what it looks like, but
That's what I'm thinking, honestly.
I've driven by it and I thought it was a lot of work for $1,000, but
Just putting in the sidewalk, right? That's what it says here, is the sidewalk was replaced.
Yeah, we shouldn't have been.
Just to cut.
The only part of the sidewalk should have been replaced was for the driveway access.
Take a better look at it.
Anyways, make your
and
motion.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
make a motion.
Make pizza.
So we need two motions.
Yeah. And you're supposed to go now. I've got the, she's in remote control now.
Oh, yeah, it's my motion. Oh. Okay, sorry, backing up.
47.
Page 47. Oh, that's okay. I'll make a motion, the town of Smoky Lake, the town of Smoky Lake rescind motion 386-2023. The town of Smoky Lake approved the removal of 16 feet of curb, 99 Willow Street, Smoky Lake at the town cost due to extenuating circumstances in the amount of $1,000 to be funded from the 2023 operating budget.
All right, all in favor? None opposed, carried. And then the second motion. Megan?
I'm unclear what the second motion would be.
After the
Yeah. And the town's.
I move that the town of Smoky Lake approves the removal of.
Is it 16 or 23?
I wouldn't put that, I would just say the
Okay.
invoice that.
So I would move that the town of Smoky Lake pay invoice number.
That would work.
What is the number?
474 to Northwind Concrete for the total amount of 1773. Oh, sorry, pardon me, with GST is 1858.50. Would that be okay?
To be funded from the 2023 operating.
To be funded from the 2023 operating budget.
All in favor?
Oh, there's some money in
None
that.
opposed, carried. Right.
Oh, and we're now gonna make another, I believe Councillor Morgan said something about you wanted it to come back to us in some way.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, I know we can't go back and see what was said or done, but maybe when weather permitting, I wouldn't mind
Report on work completed.
yeah, and a picture. I'm probably gonna drive by it anyways, but may as well get a picture.
Somebody always said the pictures are really good to see.
That guy didn't know what he was talking about, no.
So we'll say that town of Smoky Lake bring back a report on work completed at 99 Willow Creek Street.
In the spring when you
In
can
the
take a
spring.
picture of it.
All right. Is that a motion? Mel?
That's my motion.
Okay.
There was another one. Is it completed or not completed? If it's not completed, I would like a quote brought back in writing on the one on West Railway Drive.
It's done.
I think that was,
Yes.
It's
oh,
all done.
that one was,
Okay.
we gave him authority
Right.
to do it, yeah.
Because it was the back.
Mhm.
Evelyn?
There's a difference between the two. The
Mhm.
one, it was because this, this, they didn't have,
No, they needed it, but
Yeah. there's a difference between the two.
All right, I'm gonna call the question. All in favor? None opposed, so carried. All right, 7.4, Smoky Lake Regional Heritage Board appointment.
So this request came in from the Heritage Board, so I do have an actual, so I have their minutes there, but it wasn't overly clear, but they did since then also
I
submit
could
the
just
motion.
move.
Yeah.
I'll move
Carried.
that town of Smoke Lake approve the appointment of
Cameron Garuk.
to the Smoke Lake Regional Heritage Board and provide the board with an acceptance letter of appointment in reference to the attached November 14th, 2023 Smoke Lake Regional Heritage Board's draft.
I just have a question about it, just for clarification. Is this a town representative board member? Is this a member at large? Where are they voting, right? Like, who do they vote on behalf of before we? Yeah, and is it a paid position or?
Well, it wouldn't be by the town because that would be at our organizational meeting for that position.
All boards are very different, so I guess for clarification, what I wanna know is if they were a voting member, like, is it a representative of the town?
The director on the Smoky Lake Regional Heritage Board.
Yeah, just like a director on the Egg Society.
Not to represent it's to include youth on the board was the.
Yeah. Just if I may, if the background is that it's a voluntary member at large from the motion in October at our organizational meeting, motion 633.
Okay, I'm good then.
And based on being on that board, that's the overall understanding from the board's point of view. Thank you.
Right, all in favor? Not opposed, so carried. And we'll move to 7.5, action list dash 2022.
I tried to make this clear. I hope I didn't confuse it. There are 3 that I feel could be rescinded, and there are a few that are being actioned currently, and so I know we want to clean this up, but once we start actioning an item, a motion, we can't just rescind it and change it. So there's some that are underway. There's 2 really long ones related to Devonian Park, and that work will be done in the spring. There's some that might just sit there for a long time, and we could bring back in 6 months to see if they're cleaned up, such as the working with the resident on the an agreement so he could access his basement. We've given that permission. He started the process. It was when we were working with the county for our development. They asked for more information, and it's still sitting with him. But that being said, if he wants to dig up his basement to do the repairs, do you want, if we rescind it, we have to notify the resident that he no longer has that authorization, and then we have to bring it back to council if he wants to dig up his basement to do repairs. So it's something that it has been actioned, a few of the other ones as well, they've been actioned. So we suggest just allowing us to bring it back in 6 months, since they are just ongoing ones, not really, we want to bring forward the action list so you can see that we are actioning your motions. But there's some that we have, it's just, we can't get them completed at this time. So they'll come back and they will eventually either get done or just outdate because or sit non-active because they're in somebody else's hands. So that's my recommendation. If you have more questions about any of them, please ask.
I suggest that we let's deal with the 3 rescinds first, because those are easy ones, sound effects, those are easy to just take care of, and because I agree with them, because I read it and I agree. So I'll take, so if everyone's okay with that, that Town of Smoky Lake rescind motion 677-2022, that Town of Smoky Lake direct administration to collaborate with the Rural Development Network, RDN, to submit the housing needs assessment survey to help target funding to address the unique local housing needs of Smoky Lake in reference to the letter sent by the Honorable Josephine Pond, Minister of Seniors and Housing, regarding the housing needs assessment dated July 11th, 2022.
All in favor? Not opposed, so carried. No,
I'll make motion Town of Smoky Lake rescind motion 726-2022, that's Town of Smoky Lake approve administration to pursue grant funding through Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, to create an innovative project to support creative energy efficiency initiative for the Canadian residential sector and provide council an update.
all in favor? None opposed, so carried. Marianne?
I move that the Town of Smoky Lake rescind motion 821-2022, that the Town of Smoky Lake accept phase 2 Smoky Lake Regional Fire Services Review Report titled Smoky Lake Region Fire Services Business and Implementation Plan Final Report as prepared by Transitional Solution Incorporated, date August 2022, as information. Further to that the Town of Smoky Lake Town of Smoky Lake Council approved the Town of Smoky Lake Chief Administrative Officer to the Administrative Negotiating Committee pursuant to the Phase 2 Smoky Lake Regional Fire Services Review Report titled Smoky Lake Regional Fire Services Business and Implementation Final Report as prepared by Transitional Solutions Incorporated, to proceed with an implementation plan using the report as a reference and to bring the plan to council for approval.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried.
Good question.
Carried.
with this regional fire service review. If you read this, and I just listened to it, it was just a business and implementation plan report. Was there ever a document that wasn't a report that they're referencing to for implementation?
So there was a final plan. That we did, study. And then the idea being we'll do a master, we'll do another one.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I think, and I might be just talking out loud here and spinning my wheels, is that they went ahead with implementation when it was just an implementation report, final report that we received. So did anybody accept that implementation plan?
Yes, we did.
We did?
Yeah. And it was that we would use that as, I think it was kind of that motion actually, but what needs to be rescinded mainly out of that motion is that it was directing it
That's
to
right.
me, right? So maybe we should make a different motion to fix
Because
that.
in the study or the report they did, there was a recommendation that they had a negotiation committee,
Mhm.
which has never been done yet.
Well, we had started with administration doing that, and then when Jean left, it got pushed to ICC instead. So the recommendation coming from the interim CAO was, this is really an ICC thing. So then as CAOs, we brought it back to council or to ICC to see if we wanted to continue from there. So it's since then continued from there. And the idea was we supported it as a town, this was shortly after I started, that we supported it in principle with that as the guiding document, but that we didn't necessarily agree with everything in there. So that's why as we move along, so the last meeting, there was a motion regarding the 2 full-time firefighters and how to fund it. And then, hopefully, our next agenda, I'm gonna bring back to have some high-end discussions around the capital. How do we wanna proceed as a town to go back to ICC so that decisions can get made so we can move forward with the regional plan?
Okay, thank you.
That's true.
Okay. Are we going back to the action list? Or do we need to go back to it from the motions that are action but not completed, or that's been cleared?
Well.
Well, I think in this, now that we've gotten rid of those 3,
I went through them and I felt like the rest were in motion, but whether they'll be completed.
but I think what we should do is what Dawn had suggested in 6 months. We'll see where we are again, if we're going to be able to
Some are
eliminate
seasonal.
some off of there, so.
Like the school one, which is motion 539-2022, we're regularly still communicating with the lawyers from Aspen. So it's a lot of back and forth, and Romney's been taking the lead on our end on that. I kind of referenced the one property there.
Evelyn?
So, in answer to your question, the first one, the motion 210-2022, which is the Elevate Wellness, very close to another one. It almost sounds like a repeat, this one. So there's those 2. If anything, the one that I wanted to bring up was the one, and maybe this is semantics, but when I reread it, and I'm referring to 734, the one that with the signal house.
Yes.
You
Page
have-
number 63.
So
Yes.
where is it?
Yeah.
Okay. When I read it, I don't see it as in he needs to, like, how did you phrase it? That they.
Well, so we reached out to him and said, we're willing to work with you. So we
Yes.
reached out to our developers, this is before I started, so when I say we, it's the information I've received. So we reached out to Kyle and Jordan at the county, because they were our development contracted at the time, and said, this is what we can do for this homeowner. That was his original ask that he came in with. So they were to work with him to find out exactly what he wanted, and then if it was an easement and encroachment, or they were asking for more information to be able to bring anything back to council. So then it would still come back to council for approval, right, as it says in here, come back to a future meeting. For him, because he needs some sort of agreement to access that road. To access his foundation, because our property is too close to his property. So so Kyle was working on that, and then he had asked because I asked where it was at, because I had met with this resident shortly after I started. And he said he was still waiting for this information, so then I reached out to the homeowner and said the same thing, we're waiting on you. And he's not done anything since then, so it's in the landowner's hands at this point. But then it'll still come back to council, because we'll need an agreement. I'm looking to Roman to make sure that I'm right, to come back to council to enter that agreement with him, so he can we can temporarily close the road or do an agreement for him to access it to fix his basement.
Mel?
And I think part of this was kind of done, it's just that his requests were not approved by council.
He actually didn't give any requests.
Sure,
To council.
he came into the thing saying how we should buy the road or buy that, and those options were something that the town was willing to entertain, so in my mind, it's still with him, right?
Which is but this is where I'm getting into the semantics part, because it's with him. Have we not done our part of the motion, which is we've researched, that's what it says here, is that we were to research options such as any easement or an encroachment agreement to accommodate the property's owner's request. And if you've done so.
But we haven't presented the agreement to a future meeting, so we've actioned, we could mark that part completed, but the part we haven't actioned is bringing it back. That's all, that's why, because there's a lot of times where there'll be 3 or 4 different things we need to do to action an agenda item, and until they're all done, it'll be ongoing, or we'll write notes what's been done so far, and then what else needs to be done to finish this. And we try to finish them, but some of them just are out of our hands.
So are you saying that this could sit there for 3, 5 years or whatever? Okay.
But nothing can happen until it comes back, so we just think, it's nice for us to know when things are still sitting there, so that we don't, like, the action list is our list, right? To make sure we're doing our jobs and we're not missing anything, and I love how well it's set up here. I've definitely not always seen that, so it's really good. And then we wanted to start bringing it back to council, so you guys knew that we were actually doing what you were telling us to do. I think it's an accountability thing, it shows that, we're on it, and there were quite a few that were outstanding in 2022, and we cleaned up almost all of them, other than the ones we just can't, right? So,
Okay, and this is you're saying, okay,
so it's okay.
because I actually kind of felt like you had, and if it's if there's not coming back, we've done what we can.
Yeah. Well, there's some I'd love to just say, yes, we have completed this, but then there's that one little thing that hangs up, it's like, so,
Like I
yeah.
said, to me it was semantics, because when I look at it, you did your part.
We did, yes.
Terry?
So are there any outstanding prior to 22?
When I started, I said, let's look back to 2022, so over the most recent year. But I don't remember if we, we'd have to look in more, It was more, basically in the previous year to me starting, is there what haven't we actioned to make sure that we get caught up?
Okay, thank you.
Mel?
Also, prior to 2022, the action list was
Non-existent?
in.
We have all the
Fabulous.
motions, but I don't know how, if we had action lists for all of them, so whereas now we do, and we can actually track a lot of it now in our new program as well, but we really like our spreadsheets, so far we're doing it that way because it's clear in front of us, so.
All right, before we move to business, I'm gonna call a 5-minute break. All right, we'll call the meeting back to order at 2:42. 8.1, new business, quality management plan, natural selection.
This is annual.
Terry, I think it's your turn.
Someone can speak to it?
Do you want me to? It's the same quality management. It comes from Federation Gas. And
So the answer is no.
Yeah, just,
Okay.
yeah. Just the emotion, you're okay
I'll
with it.
move that the town of Smoky Lake sign the 2024 quality management plan for the town of Smoky Lake gas utility.
All in favor? Not opposed, so carried. 8.2, Alberta municipalities resolution declining fire department services across rural Alberta.
So this was a motion that was made, I believe- was everyone there, or you, I don't, yeah,
I was-
both of
I
you were
was
there. At the fire services session with TSI, and it was to bring forward a resolution to Alberta municipalities. Our resolution, so the counties, this is the recommendation, and the county's actually done their resolution. They have a spring and a fall conference, so they can bring theirs now. We cannot bring a resolution to the leaders caucus, we could do an RFD instead. The difference between so I'm gonna go into this a little bit because Councillor Copes did mention that maybe we should do an RFD. If we do an RFD, from what I'm reading on this, we bring forward the RFD to the leaders caucus. We'd still get I believe we still get a seconder on it. And then, but then the only thing with the RFD is it goes to Alberta municipalities and they can make changes to it.
Okay, so it's.
Whereas the resolution
Okay.
is firm in what we're bringing. They say bring an RFD if it's emergent.
Emergent, yeah.
So if we're okay waiting for the spring.
Okay.
So,
good to
but I
know.
wanted to, yeah. So if you're interested in doing the resolution, we would bring it back because we have time, right? Our deadline is May for resolutions. So we would make sure it was written properly. We'll base it on the county, so we're consistent with the county's messaging. We do need a second municipality, a municipality to second it. And the committee just changed it where you need a municipality of a different size to second it. So somebody over 2,500 would work. I did mention maybe
Which is an excellent suggestion.
because they.
The
Was it
gal?
them or Athabasca?
The gal?
I think it was Athabasca, kind of Athabasca, I thought maybe, because they.
Usually it's Parkston because they were a different size and because they're the ones that originated.
Okay, so there's them, and then there's Town of Athabasca who just they were in the
Oh,
paper
yes.
about the $3,000 to $10,000. So we'd just look for another municipality that attends the conference to second, and we can deal with all that. So if you're okay going forward with this, we need this motion, and then we'll work on it and bring it back.
No?
Yeah, I don't think we'll have an issue finding a
No.
second, so,
I agree.
yeah, I don't think so.
All right, Evelyn, okay,
Yeah, I'll take care of that. Okay. So I'd like to make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake draft a resolution to Alberta municipalities to address declining fire department services across rural Alberta. Whereas provincial fire services training program funding to be increased for rural firefighter fighting, and whereas the Canada Revenue Agency's CRA volunteer firefighter tax credit be increased from $3,000 to $10,000, and modernize the CRA's definition of volunteer firefighter to help retain firefighters. And whereas the fire underwriters insurance review their mandated equipment replacement parameters to accommodate rural firefighting apparatuses and equipment. And whereas the federal government reinstate a modernized version of the former Joint Emergency Preparedness Program, JEPP, for fire emergency training and equipment, and bring back to council for approval.
all right, all in favor? None opposed, so carried. 8.3 MCS net, public engagement.
So council supported us moving forward with the switch over to MCS net, and part of that process, the operational side is we wanted to make sure that our residents have an opportunity to ask questions. But we are also, of course, looking for council to be there, would be nice to have some representation. So we're just really, this MCS net is actually hosting this, we're co-hosting with them, but they're taking care of the booking and everything, so we're looking for, so basically accept for information my update, and then whether or not you want to have this as a council approved event.
That the town of Smoky Lake except for information, a verbal update from CAO Phillips regarding the transition to MCS net for town internet services.
All in favor?
Did they give us a ETA when the transition would happen
4 to 6 weeks,
from?
around now, yeah, so. they've already started the stuff in the background and then, and I did confirm that, we don't have to shut down for them to take over, because I was worried we'd be shut down and nobody would have internet for a week, so no, we'll do it one by one. A lot more information on Wednesday.
The next one is it?
And then, yeah, the next is to approve the public engagement session.
Mel?
Make a motion that the town of Smoky Lake approve the public engagement session with NCSnet on February 7th, 2024 at the curling rink. To discuss the transition of internet services as a council approved event.
All in favor? None opposed? So
One
carried.
opposed.
Oh, sorry. I just saw your hand. Opposed? Any opposed? Terry? Okay.
You want to speak to why you're opposed before we vote?
I just don't think it should, taxpayers should be paying for that. It's gonna be like a 1 hour
I
thing.
know, I was on the fence, but
Yeah, I don't feel it should be a council approved. That's why I made that first motion. I thought it was that one or that one, but that's all right.
And the reason I I am in favor of it is because I think it is important for council to be there to explain why we invested all this money into our own broadband and now we're going to be switching. So I think it is important to the public to hear from us why we changed routes.
yeah, but we could still do that without being paid to go to the engagement.
We can do a lot of things without getting paid. We
Yeah.
can come here every day
We
without
do a
getting
lot of
paid.
things and not get paid.
Yeah, if I may, then your doctor recruitment meeting needs to be done by 7,
Yeah,
right?
it should be.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, yes, it does.
Okay, so one opposed, but still carried. Oh, okay, sorry, 8.4. Spring 2024 Municipal Leaders Caucus, March 14th and 15th, 2024.
So this, yeah. They don't do the, I don't know, I forget how often they do the president's one, every other year or every 3 years. This year's just the Municipal Leaders Caucus though, so it's just the 14th and 15th, and it's at the West End if you want to approve anybody to attend. Last year we did approve the mayor to attend.
Evelyn?
I am interested in attending.
Hi, Marianne.
I just have a comment. So if we are looking at 8.5 to submit a request to speak to the Minister of Municipal Affairs, then, and that deadline is today, right? So I think it would be very practical if we're approved to have an appointment with the minister that
Somebody be
someone's there.
Well, and that's
So-
why that's following this one, because if you guys said, no, we're not going, then we would say that we don't need to talk about the next one, right?
Okay.
That's why I have it following,
Maybe that
is I wanted to make sure that you supported having one or more people attend.
Well,
And then we'd see if we got an appointment, we would try to get an appointment. We did try at the fall conference and then we didn't get a spot.
my thought is if we were successful to get a meeting, I would attend. If we don't, then I wouldn't attend. So when's the registration deadline?
No.
I wouldn't be in favor of a full council approved event, just so everybody knows. I would like 1 or 2, if we can get an appointment with the minister.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
If we get one, I feel that we should show the respect back and attend.
So can we have something to, sorry, can we have something that's pending minister engagement approval or? Looking at
How long do we need to know, how long do we know?
Registration, yeah.
It's open now,
Well, with MacGyver though, the thing is, he could say yes and then it's no.
we had that last time, it was, that was
was a
with
yes and then-
somebody else,
Yeah,
and it was a different minister and we were
Well,
approved. And then it was canceled, and it was back in with somebody else, and then we said no, because we didn't want to go with someone else, we wanted the minister. And then while we were at the conference, we were notified that we had the appointment.
Which one was that?
That was Municipal Leaders Caucus, Evelyn was there on her own, and so we invited her to join, since you were there, there were 3 of us went in.
So how come we
With
don't
Rebecca
have
Schultz.
Go to the alternate one.
Sorry,
You said no to meeting with.
Rebecca Schultz, Winston
One
or
of her
something?
assistants.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Why
they-
didn't we agree to that? Or you just didn't think it was.
Didn't feel like
important?
there was a buy-in. they were appeasing. So anyways, in the end, we had an appointment with her and we did it.
Oh, okay,
We had
Yes.
an appointment with her because we were there.
Yes.
yeah, that's why I'm saying, yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
because
this
I
maps it
did
out.
not know that.
I did book temporarily or tentatively, 3 rooms, I believe, because we only sent one last year, so I booked a couple extra just in case.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I booked 3 rooms. I asked for, Joan to book us 3, I think it was 3 rooms.
I'd be able to get that time off with me.
Yeah, and the mayor did say she was available.
So you are going?
I can go, yeah, if that's what we decide.
We can cancel up to March 1st.
I'm also available, because I'm not going to the ASHA conference.
That's the same time.
Can I make a motion?
I'll make a motion that the town of Smoky Lake approve the mayor and a councillor to attend the Alberta Municipality Spring 2024 Municipal Leaders Caucus to be held on March 14th, 15th, 2024 at the Westin in Edmonton. If we are successful in getting an appointment with
You said for
Minister.
one counselor or?
the mayor and a councillor,
And that
Yeah.
counselor?
like 2,
Oh, and
people.
counselors. Okay.
any, like a councillor, different, anybody else. Because we'd have a discussion if not.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, so.
Some of the other, I'm sorry.
So my intention is just 2, that's all my intention was.
3, mayor and 2
2.
counselors.
No, she said
Mayor
No,
and one
even
counselor?
then, it's 3 from council,
2 people, 3, right?
I heard
up to.
That's why I'm making
I heard
clarification.
mayor and a councillor.
I heard mayor and a counselor, so
Because I
that's
know we're
That's what I
changing,
thought
we're,
she said.
we're making friendly amendments to this motion, because I'm not.
Well, we're not.
Oh, no, well, let's talk about it, I
Yeah.
just, was just
That's her motion.
suggestion, yeah.
But I heard 3 because I think Dawn said there's 3 booked.
Administration and 2
No.
councillors.
Oh, administration, okay, sorry.
Usually the
The
CAO votes
rooms
in there.
have nothing to do
Okay,
with
sorry,
who's
I
going,
just heard
because you can get a room anywhere.
Yeah.
Because they have 3 rooms there, it don't matter.
If you guys want to do 3, I just was a suggestion.
Like I said, if we get a attendance with a minister, I would go.
Yeah, I think it's
So-
important.
Yeah. So I think,
No.
Yeah, let's just have a discussion about it, there's now 4 that wants to go, so is that what you guys wanna do, like,
I'm pending the minister
Yeah.
dialogue.
we still have to make a motion, so, and now.
well, you have a motion on the table already. That's why I wanted clarification of it.
Yeah, but we don't have to approve, or we can.
No, you don't have to approve it, we
can
can,
amend
just
it.
let's have some discussion on it, I just said everybody's just saying who wants to go, and not saying how much money you wanna spend, what's the cost of it, let's hash it out, figure it out. And like, I'm open to whatever.
Someone could make a motion to amend the motion to have
Well,
4 minutes.
I can withdraw my motion.
Yeah,
withdraw.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I
Make a
can
new
withdraw
one.
my motion, if we wanna have some discussion about it, I'll withdraw my motion and we can start over.
So if I was to put in the discussion, and when I reviewed the agenda, a lot of it speaks to the water. So I think the value of having the alternate or the 2 primary from the Water Commission and the alternate from 2863, there is value in some of the topics regarding the water based on the agenda that's being presented at the conference.
Evelyn?
I would also make the argument that Amy attended it last year, so the 3 of us attended this year.
I don't need to go, but, yeah, the last couple of times it's been the mayor going, so that's why I just made sure I could make it.
It's typical to have your mayor attend, but again, just because it's typical doesn't mean as a municipality you have to go that route. It is because they have the more lobbying respect for ministers, that is why what am I trying to say here? It is typical to have your mayor there, especially if you're meeting with the minister. Ministers are more likely to speak to your mayors and your reeves. But that being said, there's no reason that as a council we can't go in. It's why we have the Northern Alberta, Diego thing, right? It's because they have the lobbying oomph behind them, even though in a room, they're
And-
only one vote, they are
Right,
that
and we
figurehead.
even have
So it
the deputy
is
mayor
typical,
will
but
be there.
again, yes, your deputy mayor's there, you don't have to go that route, it is fairly typical to have your mayor there, but you guys can do,
There's nothing wrong
obviously,
with-
it's just
with
like
the
said,
four of us
policies,
going.
you do what you want. We can do whatever we want, it's just, I wanted to emphasize that lobbying, there is some value in that, that's all.
Did you say Reeve?
A reeve or a mayor.
When they meet with ministers.
No, but
Ministers.
I thought I heard you say if the mayor,
No, in general, mayors and reeves, right, are, well, are a minister, I've heard that conversation before from ministers, right? They want to hear from the mayors and reeves. It's why, from what I understand, there's a policy for doctor retention that is the mayor or reeve has to, for the county, be on that committee. And the comment was because ministers will listen more to mayors and, but, and
They feel
deputy,
like they have more.
right, more mayors and reeves, right? That's the comment. That was just, and that's, I mean, our partners, right? But it's, you know, they have more leverage behind them as a mayor, that's all. They're the spokesperson for our council. But again, you have your deputy mayor there, I just wanted to bring that forward, that, yeah.
okay, because for everybody in the room, I sent an email, I did not include Mel and Terry in this email, but I included Mary Ann as deputy mayor and so on, is that also what's done is our part, this is why I suggested the RFD, we're going back now to the fire. This is why I suggested it for the spring caucus, is because if the appointment was made with Minister Rick McIver, following what you're saying, it's more impressive when the partners get together. So Smoky Lake County having Reeve Serban and or Deputy Reeve Fennerty walk in with also as that team as well to speak with the minister. They like that as well too, because it's going to show that the municipalities are getting together, which is made easier when it's held in Edmonton. Whereas in the fall, we cannot ask them to do that because there's probably gonna be more security, like not allow them into the building kind of thing, because you're not registered, but also it's on Red Deer. So we're not gonna ask them to come down for 15 minutes with the minister that way.
But AMSHA is at the same time as this? I think it is.
What is it?
AMSHA?
ASHA.
ASHA?
So ASHA starts on the, if I may, sorry. ASHA starts on the Monday, it's in Calgary, so there's some travel time on Sunday, and it ends Wednesday at noon, so
Oh, okay.
they'd come back, but that's a long week, right?
And you're not attending? Right, who is from the foundation? Is anyone from the foundation?
2 county members.
If I may, so, yeah, Counselor, Suri and, Reeve Serban.
Okay.
If we can get a meeting with the minister, then forego, like. You
And I guess,
know,
and also direction, if we don't get the meeting, are we still sending some, one, none? It's also that clarity.
I don't know. Evelyn?
So I want to go back to what you said, Terry, because you're following on what Terry said. If we get a meeting, don't go. But if we get them, and that's actually, and that's what happened last year, is it's a little bit, it was because town of Smoky Lake was at it, that we did end up getting a meeting with the minister, because you said it got switched 3 times, twice.
Yes, it was back and forth, yeah.
So in theory, what you suggested makes sense, except that there's no guarantee because it's at the minister's will. Right, it's still,
So
by being there, regardless of how many times it gets canceled, rescheduled and so on, the chances are of physically being there means that you're gonna get that time.
did we get a invitation for a request?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the next
The deadline is today.
Okay,
yeah, we need to
so
determine
if we
topics.
get an invitation, chances are it will come through.
Well, we got one last year and then we submitted a request to meet with him and then he didn't. But I'm thinking because in the fall, we did not get a meeting with him, that there's a better chance that we should get one this time, right? Because we requested a meeting And then we didn't get one, so I'm hoping that
just-
means we'll get one, but then there might be a huge
I'm just
request,
looking
amount of
at
requests.
my calendar and I'm in Edmonton on Wednesday, the 13th anyway, so I'll definitely go then.
It's the 14th.
Yeah, I know, but I'll be in Edmonton on the
Oh,
13th.
okay, sorry.
So I'm on a day off, so I might as well take the next 2 days off and make it a 3-day thing, and then that way I'm there for sure.
Mhm.
I was gonna say I would just go with, but I have my ear doctor on that day.
So you'd like to go regardless? is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
like I can go regardless if you think that it'll help get the audience with the minister.
I still don't know if we all need to be there though. I think 2 is plenty. Because if we all go in the fall,
We all have gone in the fall.
we always go all in the fall. And then it can be 2 of like 2 counselors, like I don't have to go, but I think 2 is plenty. Like Mel's motion would just need to be counselors, not mayor and council. I mean, 2 people representing us with the ministers.
Sure.
Good. Evan?
I'd say keep it up to 3 members of council. How about if we do it that way, and then we can hash it out after that? Because it's the up to, meaning not.
You know what, I'll take back my motion and I will make a new motion that says, that the town of Smoky Lake approve up to, and I'll say 4 counselors to attend the Alberta Municipality Spring 2024 Municipal Leaders Caucus to be held on the 14th and 15th, 2024 at the Weston. And then I'll just leave it like that. But you know what, once we get word back from the minister, then we're all grown-ups, but we'll I'll prove it up to 4. We'll let her go.
All right, all in favor? Not opposed and carried.
I'm gonna need to know, yes, which nights, if you want rooms the night before, or just like the Wednesday, Thursday, or just the Wednesday, or just the Thursday. So I'll need that from you, and confirmation who's attending. We'll tentatively make sure we have the extra rooms booked and then, and get everyone registered, and then we just have to cancel by the 1st, so. Okay.
Gives us a little time to cancel, so we have to, if we want to.
I would imagine just the Thursday night, 9 AM is not that early, but. I don't know, what does everybody think?
I'm good to, but the 14th, I'll get my own room on the 13th.
Okay, so just the,
The one
Good.
night?
okay,
Because it's done at noon on Friday.
okay.
All right, 8.5, meeting request with Minister McIver, Alberta Municipal Leaders Caucus 2024.
So I sent Barb the list, she created a report for us, and I sent her the list of what we had circulated last time. I believe we went with the CAO turnover, because that was something that the small communities was working on, and infrastructure, I wanna say. So just wondering what, because we have to send that today, the confirmation on topics, so.
Marianne?
And so, my concern was that, like I said, I was on the call for, I think some others were on the call for the drought, and Minister McIver was one of the panelists. And he spoke about how impacted emergency services would be, fire and rescue, if there is a drought. And then there is during fire season. And so then I'm not sure if we want to bring forward the housing crisis that we're suffering through Alberta. And we always at different meetings talked about the hospitals as well, right? And the emergency services through closures of emergency departments, but
Just need to make sure that we're targeting items that are municipal
under municipal
affairs, yeah.
affairs, right? But so the fire services would impact the water, and based on the agenda presented at this meeting, it is about the water, so
Yeah, there's one topic.
would it be, so just to complete what I was gonna say, Dawn, so if we were to pull up his mandate letter, what he would be addressing, could we speak to that as well?
Businesses and small businesses in communities, permits.
Red tape.
Yeah, like the red tape on the permits.
I'd like if,
But it's not red tape though,
no,
because that's another one.
yeah,
I read his mandated the other day.
it would be nice to,
Yeah. So I was looking to
but
see
I know
what
he's not in
fit.
charge of it for the doctor, why
The
No,
one.
and he'll shut you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Okay,
but,
I stand corrected?
no, I
no,
think
was just.
for the doctor thing, but I think Marianne has a good topic on the water and how it will affect rural people on the,
But I think that's environment. Someone Schultz.
Right, but he was on that panel, right?
Yeah,
That's
but
just
he's
what
not
I'm-
the minister of that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
no, we do have to make sure it's directed at the right thing, cause he's very clear on what he'll have discussions about.
Business investments, small business, like investments in businesses and municipalities, one of his things, and permits. And the LGFF was a big part of this thing, so if you had a discussion, if you wanted to discuss the allocation of the LGFF and maybe how it could be better, done better. Cause I listened to that webinar, and there were certain places that had, there was discrepancies on how it was allocated, but that's was his three focuses that I saw.
And we're not like,
And yeah, well, yeah, capital. So I don't know if there was ways that we could lobby on how he could help with us with our business investments, I don't know. Retaining businesses in there. I looked it up because I was like, what could we ask?
I was just, yeah.
Asking for-
And I-
I'm just trying to
it was
wrap my
really
head
tough.
around
asking
how
for a
we would be-
registry's office.
Well,
I
That-
was wondering-
that's
was
probably
actually thinking
part
about
of
that.
it is
I was actually
the
thinking
funding model for our rural, because you see all the advertising is online for motor vehicles. Like, I think,
No, that's true.
Sorry,
No.
motor vehicles,
Well, we were talking about registry's office.
still in the works.
Yeah, but I'm saying the funding model.
Oh,
To
I
the-
see. Oh, the
to-
funding model,
To
yes,
talk to him
yes.
about the funding model, which would attract.
because we did send a letter in
Rural
regards to that too, did we not,
We
at one
did.
time?
Evelyn,
Does the registries fall under what you're saying, the mandate that he would speak to us to, or is he saying, no, you have to talk to this department instead? Because it does have to do with municipalities, because I distinctly remember Amy telling us at a meeting that 9, who called you and told you 9 closed across Alberta? Do you even remember?
it was the registries, like they were, oh my. I don't know their, name, but there were 2 gals that worked for them and were asking us to advocate about.
Yes, okay, so I've never forgotten that,
progress,
and
yeah.
you said that, because I keep quoting that to anyone that I talk to the registry's office about. And part of my conversations that I've been having with residents, my one-on-one coffees, I walk in with an agenda, and one of the agenda items is municipally funded, supported registry office, because we did have that presentation at an ICC meeting where we talked about it. So I've been sitting down with a lot of our residents saying, what would you say if we were to help bring a registry office here, knowing that it's money from us? It's taxpayer money, but to bring a registry office here, I don't have I just want to know if you would support us in going into that direction. And unanimously, I've had, to my surprise, people say yes, and I go, are you sure about this? But here's because it is a losing model, it's a losing business model, we're not probably going, it is a poor model, so we can keep saying change the model. But I do believe that by having these one-on-one conversations, they are saying, yes, I got one negative, but it was because, well, if you're gonna do that, then I wish that I could have applied for a registry office, knowing that you would have helped me. So that's the kind of feedback that I've been getting when I discuss this one-on-one. But I also believe that that's something to bring forward to the ministry and say, why is it on us to be giving that, to subsidize this? But you know what, our residents feel it's so important, they're actually willing to put municipal dollars towards that. But we shouldn't have to put municipal dollars toward it because it's your terrible model. So you see where I'm coming around to all of this, because yes, it is important and everyone does want to have a registry office here, particularly because we have a significant population of seniors who only drive in this area. So even just to tell them to go to Redwater or to St. Paul when they easily had it here, and there's this transition period between seniors who are not savvy to get it's just the way they have it set up, it's just terrible. So there you go, I'm off my soapbox, but if that is something that we can discuss with Minister Rick McIver, in addition to the fire, because if we just passed a motion where we're talking about having to give tax breaks to firefighters, then I wouldn't mind bringing that to his attention as well at the spring caucus meeting. And still fall, and that is a good foundation to start laying, and then our foundation, the motion that we'll make in the fall convention.
So that letter went to the Minister of Service Alberta and red tape reduction.
So red tape reduction is part of it?
That's the minister we sent the letter to
Okay.
regarding Alberta registries.
All right.
And that
And it's
RFP is, like, there's people that have proposals in that are still waiting to hear back, so it's still active, it's still sounding like we might get someone here running registries.
He's collaborating, has to be collaborating with ministers.
Yeah, so that's the thing, he talks about collaborating, so maybe it does fit in there, because he talks about collaborating with like he says, I expect you to deliver on further initiatives overseen by your ministry, including working with municipalities and local businesses to benchmark, measure, and reduce the time it takes to approve permits, to create a more attractive business investment environment, to monitor the Edmonton and Calgary regions, metropolitan region boards, to ensure they are serving the needs of their urban and rural residents effectively and fairly without unnecessarily interfering with the autonomy of small and mid-sized municipalities. Improve delivery of stable, predictable funding through the LGFF. So LGFF's in there, and then here's, collaborating with the Minister of Service Alberta and Red Tape, Minister of Seniors and Social Services and Affordable Utilities and a bunch of other ones. And informed by on-the-ground municipal realities, developing appropriate incentives, benchmarks to significantly reduce minister approval times for housing and business park developments. Like, he's got a bunch where it's tied in with working with other ministers.
Because here's the thing, I actually heard what Jason Kenney said in his final speech. Shocker coming from me, but I did, because he's correct. And when he said, when we meet with ministers, instead of doing this, here's our problem, fix it, we actually come to them with a solution. This is what we need you to do, can you do it? So this is where I do see both of them, both these subjects are actually related, even though they're separate, but they are related, because it's coming down to, we are going to give, because this is what's going to be on our agenda in February, the next one, because this is coming from the Fire and Rescue Committee, is we are actually looking at giving our volunteer firefighters a tax break. That's we, the municipality. But we shouldn't be doing this, you should be doing this. Same thing, so a little bit of shame. And then it's the same thing with the registry office. Our residents are telling us that they actually want us to invest money to bring a registry's office to set this up. So that is two things that we can do, but we don't think that we should do it. We think that you should do it. But we're still bringing solutions. We're still gonna go forward and look at these as solutions, but you are now crippling us more is the argument, when it should be you, the province, that's providing.
No?
I think we should still bring up those are both, I agree with both of those topics. I also think that we should bring up the infrastructure funding for small towns.
Yeah.
I think we should just always bring that up all the time. We don't have the tax base to stay on top of replacement. So I think that should be our third.
Especially with the way costs are going crazy.
Because to follow up on yours, the number of viability reports that are on municipal affairs website right now proves that all these villages are essentially folding because they can't handle the infrastructure.
We got and it's coming up later, we got a significant increase with LGFF, but it's still, it
That's
doesn't
right.
even put a drop in the bucket of what our portion of the water replacement is, right? It's still not a lot, right?
Yeah.
When you look at the roads and things that we need done in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we killed that.
With a knife.
I think it's your motion to make, so.
I should make that motion. Should be, that was a knife.
Yeah, I just, were we adding to what was the recommendation or?
Well, I think we just need to
the
add
text?
items.
I didn't write it down.
Did you guys go over this bylaw?
Maybe I'll make the motion.
Repeat it, yes.
Make a motion
No.
that Town of Smoky Lake direct administration to pursue a meeting with Honorable Rick MacGyver, Minister of Municipal Affairs, at the 2024 Alberta Municipalities Spring Municipal Leaders Caucus scheduled to take place at the Westin in Edmonton on March 14th to 15th, 2024, to discuss registries, red tape reduction, or registry funding model and time reduction on approving for this stuff, because if it's there, and then fire services funding, yeah.
Training funding, training for fun. What was that one?
The tax incentive.
Tax incentives, yeah.
Remember?
I'm gonna call it recruiting, like incentives.
Recruiting and retention.
Retention incentives, and also infrastructure funding for small towns and that have a lack of tax base to replace water and sewer lines, roads, et cetera. Yeah.
All in favor? Opposed?
How come kids
Carried.
only went for track January
And
to?
8.6, capital grant allocations.
Change the amount.
Yeah, but no. From January to March should be from
That's
December
what's,
1st.
it was left, that's change. Okay, you were, good point to make.
Amy's gonna speak to this one, if that's right, while I email and say we wanna meet with Mr. McIver.
Yeah.
Good. Great. So, grant allocations. So this is the LGFF framework. So there was a great, for the the rural areas, sorry, I'm trying to, can you use it out?
Sorry, Amy, I meant Crystal.
Oh, I was like, I
I'm so sorry, I'm like, I just looked at her, I said, did I say
You know, it's
Amy?
good practice for me because I shot
Okay, you go
on
ahead then.
Wednesday.
You
So
go
when I
ahead.
talk and I
Sure.
correct you, you're good, all right.
Sorry.
The NEGO meeting.
Oh, no. Nice.
Anyway, so the municipalities in rural areas have gotten a substantial increase in the capital allocations. Not so much operational, correct, from what I understood. It's up a little bit, or it's up. So, and it's also referenced here, so in 2023, we got 133,200, and 2024, we have 317,000. It's a little bit higher than 2025. So yeah, I've been told that in the rural areas, it's been a good thing, and in the urban, not as crazy. Or not as much. No.
Which is good, but those numbers, there's not a lot you can do with them. So it's, yes, it's good for rural, so it looks like they're trending in the right direction. But I think the point is that it's not enough to,
Yeah.
what is that gonna do for Smoky Lake? Right, so they are trending, I think, in the right direction. They've obviously listened, but I think we just need to still drive that
And
home.
there was a pot of 10% that was a needs. Like it was allocated for those in need, so we had to fit a certain criteria to get a little bit more, depending on the amortization of your infrastructure. So there was, yeah.
But you have to almost be folding, and then they go.
Go ahead, Mary.
It was a good webinar.
Yeah,
right?
it
But-
was.
Yeah, so they're more at risk or,
They're, and that's whatever's older. Sorry?
I will comment on the appreciative $3 million we did get for our water. That's important. I think the province has stepped up and supplied a lot of municipalities with that kind of funding. That would never ever be possible unless they came to this plate like that. So yes, it'd be nice to see more, and always nice to see more, but let's be thankful we got what we did to do
Oh,
our major part of infrastructure. So I could, or who's,
Okay, so unless Crystal is gonna add anything or?
saved you, Crystal.
Sorry.
Thanks, I appreciate the practice.
And that was really good, thank you.
Especially being put on the spot. Our mind is,
I was kind of surprised, but I remember telling you this morning that I listened to it. I'm like, oh, all right.
Now I gotta explain it.
I move that the town of Smoky Lake is set for information, the grant allocations for the 2022 to 2025 local government fiscal frameworks, LGFF, and the 2020 to 2023 Canada Community Building Fund, CCBF.
All in favor? None opposed, so that be carried. 8.7, Federation of Canadian Municipalities Annual Conference and Trade Show.
So let's go back, talking about conferences. So this conference, when I brought it up when we had a workshop earlier in the year, that there might be value in attending this, even if it's just to once to say, no, this is really, there's a lot of great information, or we come back and go, okay, there wasn't that. But we only get it in Alberta. I don't know if it's every 3 or 4 years, because it's in Saskatchewan, BC, and Ontario as well. So I think it's every 4 years. So I thought being in Calgary, and at one point we talked about, should we have all of council there? And at the budget, it was we should send 1 or 2 people there. So I just wanted to open up the conversation. I think it would be kind of neat to see the information that would be received at a conference like this. I hear a lot of positive things when, when Reed went last year to Ontario, how great it was, but I'd be more interested in seeing it for ourselves to see if it's something of value.
Evelyn?
I sit on both sides of the fence on this one. It depends on which perspective you have going in. Is it going, if we're gonna go because we are going to learn so much more and do the networking and learn so much there and bring it back to our community, then it's a positive, and yes, we should send. Flip side is, if who's kidding who, we're a very small municipality, so we're not gonna go there and have any kind of impact on, because this is where the big municipalities play, like this is where it's dominated by all the big municipalities. But again, if we still wanna go and we still benefit, but we will not have an impact there. It will have an impact on us potentially bring back.
I did get more involved with CAMA, which is the administrative side, and I found that that's been quite helpful, and our rep is actually from Westlock, and then I believe there's somebody on the board from Bakerville, yeah, so you're right, though, we're not going there to make change, but it would be that what can we learn and bring back to our municipality.
Terry?
And we all remember.
Yeah, so just the registration is $1,100.
Yes.
So it would probably be over close to a $2,500 per person bill. I think we could spend that money in local clubs and sponsorship locally versus what we would benefit by going to that. Personally, I would be more in favor of just accepting this for your information.
I agree with you. I only thought it's kind of neat, it was here, but otherwise, yeah, I don't know what value necessarily. I'm with you.
I'll move that the town of Smoky Lake, except for information, the information on the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Annual Conference and Trade Show to be held in Calgary, Alberta, from June 6th to 9th to 2024.
All in favor? Bylaw and policy. It's been 45 minutes. Terry?
Yes, I noticed in here that,
Okay, go ahead.
sorry, why would I want to go to the bathroom? Like, I just take water reducing pills at my age, but.
Okay, continue on, sorry.
Go ahead, you wanted,
Yeah, I'm a little bit over or under impressed with the January 1st to March 31st of untracked off highway vehicles on the trail.
by unimpressed by that, what is it that you want to see instead?
Well, minimum December 1st, like a lot of times we're sledding out there in November. And then you get some people out there with these big fancy side by sides making ruts in Like, I don't think that's early enough, like January to March. That should have been minimum December 1st, if not November 15th.
Okay.
I do like the idea of the fines.
Mel?
And Terry's right. The only thing is something that would eliminate anybody this year. So nobody could sled this year, but they can side by side and quad this year. So it would dramatically, it's not a groomed trail. So it's the terminology really is where, it's not the date so much for me, it's not to have UTVs and ATVs or dirt bikes on a groomed snowmobile trail.
Or.
That's, cause this year, why eliminate it?
Yeah,
Why
I
find
agree.
somebody,
Yeah, I never
you know,
thought of
like,
that.
let's use it if we can. It's when it's groomed. So for me, it's the terminology, like if the groomer's out and it's a groomed snowmobile trail,
The
then
only-
that affects it.
The only thing is, I don't think the whole trail has grooming on it.
Yep.
It does?
Are you sure?
Right to Cold Lake?
They can't,
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't think so.
you can't get up there unless you go on the groomed trail. So the first part's all groomed. Like, you'd have to,
'Cause
our area.
groomer only goes, yeah, our area only goes to Highway 36.
So like.
But no, I think what it should say is once there's 6 inches of snow, cause if we say groomed, then what happens if some portions aren't groomed? I agree with you though.
Just think sorry.
Mel?
Yeah, I just think we need to think about how we wanna say this, and if you're gonna find somebody, I just really, like, I'd hate to, on a
Restricted.
year, restrict it on a year like this year.
Terry?
Has the county had this already? Because the majority of the trail would be in their jurisdiction, right?
I'm not sure if they brought it forward. I didn't.
Like, we could do whatever we want in town, but it's the county that would be majority of our local area, right? But we could still give it first reading with take back for recommendations of changing it somehow, like you said.
Think about it now.
Like, once it's groomed, it's a no-brainer that nobody should be on it with wheels. And Vern, make sure you let everybody know on Facebook.
Evelyn, you have more discussion or thoughts?
I'm not sure what to say, 'cause
But no, it's just
Because
take
I
back
mean,
reference.
I know, we've really hashed this out, so I think
What
it's
was
a,
their discussion on that, do you remember?
because I think it's actually along the same lines that it's when the trail is groomed. But I don't, and it depends on, it's like running a ski hill, if you suddenly have really, sometimes you get that season where you get a lot of snow really early, so you
That's
get
right.
to start
Yeah.
it. But I think that's why they put it traditionally, it's between January and March.
Mel or Dawn?
It's on the county's agenda for February 8th.
Mel?
Can I suggest that, so am I reading it clearly is mixed use? January 1st to the 31st,
No ATVs are allowed on the trail.
between January and March.
No, I'm tracked.
Sorry, yeah, on track.
Because you can put
Tracks on
trucks
Tracks
on
on,
an
yeah.
ATV, yeah, on trail, yeah.
Okay,
Because it has to do with if the Grovers are out, you don't want the ATVs chewing up the trail.
The wheels.
go behind like 500 feet from our
Yeah.
back and look what somebody did. No,
Oh,
somebody did donuts, just ripped it
and
up.
you know what? At my acreage, but my batteries went dead again.
I just think we need to rethink that part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we could give first reading, no, or is it beneficial to do that? So we could do all 3 later too.
We do, yeah, I'd almost say to direct us to reach out to Mary Ann Jenke and Unicorn,
Discuss.
suggest, suggest.
Express our concern
express
with the
concerns
gen-
for
yeah.
9.6 and With direction or with suggestions that it should be more based on volume of snow rather than month dates. Does that sound
Or-
accurate?
You know what else a person could do is, you know how you go some places, red flag means there's no skiing or whatever, or green flag means there is. Just something to think about, that the trail's open or it's closed, but then somebody else, I guess, could go there and rip it off, but
No?
Yeah, I think maybe we just push it back with maybe
for more
just
discussion.
some recommendations on different ways that we could put that in there, especially if we're talking about fines and things. I think it needs to be very
$500 fine.
clear.
Marianne?
It would be something similar to what we have for fire bans, when we advertise that there is a fire ban or full fire ban, or what's the risk, medium, low, have something for the.
Put a
the
sign up
usage.
at every staging area. Yeah.
Evelyn?
So what about, do you want to defer, we're gonna meet at the end of the month, so you want to
Okay.
defer it until, yeah, we have
Yeah.
a meeting so that will give enough time for admin to contact Marianne, Jakey, but our meeting for Northeast Unicorn has been canceled, so it's not like we can deal with it at the next meeting, and so that's gonna have to be at
Too late now anyway.
Marianne's discretion to answer those questions for us for the end of the month.
Talking about 9.1.
No, 9.2
Oh, 9.6.
section. Oh,
No, I'm talking about the 9.1, the corridor.
yeah,
regulations.
of our agenda,
Oh, but what
And
is it in the,
section 9.2.
no person shall.
No,
pass
sorry,
overnight?
I was looking at the other. 9.6, operating an untracked off-highway vehicle between January 1st and March 31st.
What page is?
102.
Oh, it's the
107.
definitions.
So, sorry, it's in two spots, yeah. It's in the definitions on page 99. It's in the definitions, because there's actually dates in the
Yes.
definitions, and then it's on page 106.
9.6,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
107. 9.6, right?
Section 9.6, the
Yeah.
trail is mixed use allowing
No.
page 1.
Operating an untracked off-highway vehicle between January 1st and March 31st.
So Terry, it's in a couple places. It's also on 9.6 on page 102.
Where are you reading that?
Page
Sorry.
102.
In the red.
On page 107.
Oh,
He's on a totally,
page 107, it's a different.
I don't know what Terry's reading.
Oh, he's looking at the fines.
Oh,
Which is refers back to 9.6.
Okay.
So it's 9.6.
Trails mixed use allowing
9.6.
exclusive-
But that's mixed use.
Yeah.
Mixed use has
We'll
a-
continue to read the whole sentence. Is mixed use allowing exclusive use for tracked OHV and non-motorized users from January 1st to March 31st.
Yeah, and.
OHV
highway
and
vehicles
non-motorized
non-motorized
users from April 1st to December 31st.
I'm just more worried about getting $500 fine.
I got one yesterday.
So do you want to make a motion that administration contact Unicor?
Sure,
to,
I'll move.
Sorry.
To Mary.
There's two motions, right? We're deferring to the next meeting then, and then
Well, we need them to look at it and get back to us before we can bring it back. So we're gonna push it back to them to suggest they reword 9.6. And then once we get the information back from her, we would then add it back to the agenda. Because that way, if it's not ready for the February 26th meeting, or maybe some have given readings and others, right, then it kind of confuses the matter.
and just to add, and then that because our bylaw that was in place before was 001-07, correct? So this makes, if we're accepting this as a bylaw, then it makes this one,
That one is then repealed. Repeal, number 20 is repeal bylaw 001-07.
Okay.
So once this one gets 3 readings, that one's automatically repealed within this bylaw.
So there was a motion put on, right, to.
Sure. Or Evelyn, did you want to do that?
I want you to do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Terry. And that was the motion that you had.
Yeah.
So that administration reach out to Unicore to regarding section 9.6.
All right, all in favor? None opposed? So carried. 9.2, D-04-2024 encroachment policy.
I'll ask Roland to speak to this one.
So we've made some changes and adjustments based off town of Okotoks and simplified how we are describing the types of encroachments. And in terms of the process, basically, if it's rejected by the CAO or designate, it can be referred to council at the request of the applicant. And if it is something, for example, that the CEO doesn't feel the need that comfortable approving, they can reject it and offer that the application go to council. And we've added a lot more details into the types of encroachments, particularly things that happen into parks, and anything else around the town is all kind of lumped into one, just for simplification. And if we ever need to, we can always add more detail later. But we felt that given our context of the town right now, we don't need as much detail right now. And based off of what we do find over the years or months, we can make the changes depending on the type of applications we do get, if we do get any.
Terry?
So this is for a property owner to come to us to apply for an encroachment agreement of some sort.
Yeah, or in certain cases, we can give them written consent depending on the type of encroachment.
So let's flip over and we have a complaint about an encroachment. Is
Yes.
that in here?
Yeah, so we have that the town can request that the encroachment be removed. So it says in general guidelines, no encroachment shall be authorized unless the town has written consent or an encroachment agreement between the town and the landowner has been entered into.
No?
So Terry, what you're asking, I think, are people without encroachment agreements, if somebody's complaining and they don't have one, then the town would then be made aware of one and they would require one. They would require to apply for one, and if they get it or they don't get it, right? So
Well,
that's it.
I'm more worried about what we had before. We had complaints about people encroaching.
Yeah,
We did make it clear that we may remove them to require them to remove it. We didn't want to make it mandatory because then you start
Yeah,
there's a lot of encroachments, right?
Yes, oh,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
that's why I wanna
Yeah.
make sure that that's looked after.
So we're not gonna go out and chase these
No.
all down by any means, it's more having a policy in place as a starting point. We didn't go into as much detail on things like roads and whatnot, because we haven't had a lot of issues there, but if we do find down the road as we're getting more, and have our own development officer and getting more involved in the development area and, you know, if there's more issues coming up, then we may very well wanna do further updates, but we felt this was a good, start and a good and pretty comprehensive policy. And thank you, Councillor Coates, for bringing up the Okotoks one. We found some good information that we did bring in and others that we're keeping in the back, just in case we want to make more changes.
Thanks. Again, councillors are.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Mary.
No, I know, I'm the one that took the ball.
Policy and it's
I
just,
know.
I'm
I
sorry.
took the ball and ran with it with.
She did say that
the
last
Okotoks, but
time, so.
Yes.
You have it. All right, I'll have someone make that motion. Evelyn? Or, sorry.
No, sorry. Policy, there's a reason why we call it Councillor Coates. It's actually fine, I'm all for us passing it today, so everybody cheer, okay? No, you just. There is a, no, it's not so much, but it's again, it's editing, so I'll give it to you, you can edit, so the editing, the one thing that I wanna bring up in council because I don't think council wants to hear the edit, so I'll just give you the edited form. Master rates bylaw, it references, but I went on the website and couldn't find the master rates bylaw, so did we
It's
look?
coming in to the 26th, sorry, it's,
Yeah, it's not updated.
Okay,
just-
thank you. So
Yes.
yes, I am the counselor that reads this, that goes, master rates bylaw, where's that? I haven't,
so.
so I
we
looked
were-
and then it wasn't there.
Yeah, so we have it updated and we've had it on the agenda to bring forward over and over again, but because of internet, possibly going to MCSnet, we didn't want to bring it till we knew about that. So
Okay.
we're ready to bring that forward and it will be on the 26th. So yes, that will close that loop and yes, good
Otherwise,
catch.
well, thank you very much, but that's, believe it or not, that's all it is. Otherwise, it's the kind of thing that drives my husband absolutely nuts, where I say, you didn't italicize here, you didn't capitalize here, you're using utilities and utility landowner, owner, you switch back and forth. And again, it's because I'm going by your definitions. If this is the definitions you're gonna use, then that's what it is. And you use, yeah, it's all that. Otherwise, the document, the policy is fine as is. As presented.
So you wanna make a motion or you want me to? I'll move the town Smoky Lake and top policy D-04-2023 encroachment policy to implement a fair and consistent procedure for handling various encroachments within the town of Smoky Lake.
All in favor? None opposed?
Yeah, we already caught the owner one. Just saying.
Just saying.
But thank
Couple
you,
line
yes.
caveat.
No, it's Evelyn's turn.
Hold on,
He's
we're
trying
gonna-
to take her next one.
Huh?
That report.
Terry's just gonna
Yeah.
do all the motions.
I'll move
Let's
that
go.
the town of Smoky Lake accept information, the attached mayor, councillor, and committee reports, item A through K.
All in favor?
Motion discussion.
I had questions.
Oh, you have discussion?
But that's, no,
No, you can
No,
still
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Smoky Lake Foundation.
Yeah.
I have a request from a senior who wants me to advocate on his behalf to use the facility, the fitness facilities that are available at Barbianook rather than driving to Asetna. So if I were to advocate on his behalf, who is it that I approach about that? Is that you? Did
CEO.
I ask you? Well, this is just it, things have changed, right? So this is.
Yeah, we still want the CAO and we can make recommendations.
Mary
Oops,
Ann?
sorry,
So is he a resident in the
no.
self-contained or anything, or in
we're
a
just
house?
senior.
But that is why he's asking, because he's going to be in the future, but he's not right now. And he would like to use that as a,
Public
Foot.
facility or
Well,
some,
to be
get
with
to
it-
know, get to know.
because the challenge is his friends are there. His friends have moved into Barbianook, so he wants to go visit his friends and work out with his friends.
Could refer it, and it might come to the board or not.
Yeah, that's
The
why I'm
CAO
asking.
could
Is it
field
a
it.
board thing or do a CAO? Who do I?
I
The
think.
CAO would
Yeah.
field to that, so if you gave him the phone number, I can give that to you, and his name is Raymond, so.
Okay, so Raymond, okay, so that's why I
Or
was
even
asking.
talk to,
And that was in the press release that was distributed from our CAO when the housing body.
Which is, yes, which is the second item that I want to ask about, because it's not on the foundation website, like we got the press release, but it's not on our website, or I couldn't find it on our Facebook, so does.
If I could field that question as well. So I've said before, we're in the process of an operational review. So the changes just recently occurred, so they're looking at what the inefficiencies are and the efficiencies. So upon the 60 days of the housing body taking a look at everything, then the implementation plan for what needs to be done. And probably the website would be one of them to get it current or get it up and running. It is missing some information, so that's not in the near future project. There's some other pressing issues, so it is coming. So if there's some information that you need or require, there's the site manager, Betty Epson, she's very helpful, and she can kind of.
so what's Violet's position?
Doing reviews.
Oh, okay, yes, so,
Until the review's complete, we're kind of in a pending status.
And thank you, that's the second part. So the second part to that is there was a press release announcing who the new CAO is.
Yeah.
Correct? So should that be part of the town's Facebook to share that information on the website or not? Because the foundation, this is where it's a genuine question, I'm not.
Marianne? Well, previous to this meeting, I believe that was brought forward at the county meeting that it was accepted for information. So I don't know, that would be maybe an administration question to our administration if we're partnering or sharing that information as well.
So I guess I'll turn to you. She's tossing it into your lap.
That's fine. You know, I look, the foundation's different than a lot of our other committees. It's kind of like the commissions. Like I don't attend any of their meetings or the commission meetings. We're very separate. They're a separate organization running that we have a member representing on that board, but we don't, like you as a council don't have any actual say. You as a commission member do, right? And then we get requisitions. So, but I mean, that's not to say we can't share information about, you know, the commission or the foundation. I wouldn't automatically, I think, because it is really separate from us, but then if it supports something on the foundation or they want us to share information, we definitely could do that. Or if you as council said, hey, we think it would be good to get this information out there, we could definitely share it. I don't go there automatically because it's a separate committee.
I'm actually referring to the press release that you
Yes.
forwarded us
Yeah.
to via email. So I didn't see it on Facebook, our Facebook, and I didn't see it on our website. And that's where on our website, we show pictures of Barvinock and we have a whole page on Barvinock. And it's also because some of the changes that have been enacted by the foundation are there are quite a few people in Smoky, in our town, that are quite interested in those changes. So
If you
that's
guys,
why I'm asking.
we wouldn't automatically because it is very separate, but if you wanted us to like share that press release, for me, it wasn't our press release to share. But if council wanted us to share that and the foundation was fine with that, I mean, I definitely don't see an issue with that.
I'm asking questions because
Yeah.
I'm asking the questions, but I'm deferring it to foundation members and.
I forwarded it to council because I wanted you to hear it from us before.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah.
So I defer.
Marianne? So I think in the near future, maybe the recommendation I would suggest is that, yes, you're right, there's a picture of the lodge. So if we had a hyperlink and then, so you click on that picture and it redirects you to the Barvinock website. But right now that website is underused or underpopulated with information, and I don't know how current it is, but there are plans to update policies, the website, and once the operational review comes in.
And to the request for using the fitness facilities, I would say that if he has a friend there, there's no problem with him going and exercising with his friend. Who's gonna kick him out?
Well, I think that's what he's afraid.
No, he won't. Guaranteed him.
Well, might be another opportunity. There might be another opportunity. There's the PCN has the gym as well, if you can get it through a doctor referral. Maybe something there, because the equipment is for the residents, but there's no guidance, maybe how to use certain things or if anything should go.
Liability was.
Yeah,
That's where I think, yeah.
Whereas if it was a doctor referral, he could have the opportunity to use equipment based at the PCM that in the community that it serves, right? Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion about the report? All in favor? One opposed? Carried. We will move to correspondence requiring action. 11.1 sponsorship request, Endurance Riders of Alberta.
Two options. Now, like I said, on February 7th, we're having a on the information center.
So this one, I think this is a new request. So,
Yeah.
the sponsor and endurance ride for, was received from Irene Vandercleet, I had to look up her, Vandercleet, thank you. An avid rider in our area. So she submitted this request for either monetary and or swag for your consideration. And we're at the beginning of the year, so of course we have our budget. I don't think we've donated, sponsored anything yet, don't we, this year? I think she had it here. There's 20,000 remaining in the budget. So no, we haven't done anything yet.
Well, so I think it's really good that it's something that's up and running again in our region. So I wish I knew more about it. I really do, because I'd never even heard like about it before, but and I think it's nice that they're gonna be locally, it sounds like locally riding around here. So
She said it was.
can we close that door?
You don't like that?
No, I don't like that. Yeah, it's very distracting. I can't even
I
see
had
my
asked for
buttons.
a quote for a frosted glass door there, so we can have it closed but be more welcoming. So we'll see.
Evelyn?
Would you like me to describe what endurance riding is then to you more?
No,
or-
I understand what it is. I guess what I guess I'm more curious, like the details, like how many people are going on the ride.
Where is
and-
it starting?
Yeah, that, like just the more detail, and that's only for a personal, has nothing to do with the request. I was just wishing I knew more about it personally, but no, I totally, I support it, so I think, especially the swag, like for the, I think that's a really good thing to give, and maybe we can help, with a small monetary donation too for, I was thinking somewhere around, $200 and then some swag for prizes for them. I'm not sure what you guys is.
I think I'm in support of it. Evelyn?
I can speak to the tourism aspect of it, because this is, apparently we used to have an endurance ride in the region. So this is actually resurrecting it, and it does bring a lot of people from outside of Smoky Lake. Doesn't necessarily help accommodations, because they camp, it's a campsite that is provided, but they do come into town to use our restaurants, plus it's a promotion of Smoky Lake. So when I looked at this, I did view it as tying in to our strategic plan about tourism and create.
Mel?
And I agree. That's why I was kind of curious where it was, like if the ride is going to be through town, on the trail, anywhere close to town. I was just curious, but I still think it's a good opportunity for us to promote, so.
Within 5 kilometers of town.
All right,
I support that.
all in favor?
Want me to read the
of
motion?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you made the motion.
I'll make a motion,
I
the
thought
town of
you-
Smoky Lake sponsored the Mighty Smiles Endurance Ride for the Endurance Riders of Alberta to be held April 19th to 21st, 2024 in the county of Smoky Lake with a monetary donation of $200 to be funded from the operating budget, entitled Grants to Individual Organizations in reference to the letter from Irene Vanderkleet dated January 10th, and to provide promotional items in the amount of $100.
All in favor? Not opposed, so carried. It's written there.
Yeah.
You're adding it there.
I'm just rethinking while I was talking.
Okay, then. All right. 11.2 Smoky Lake Agricultural Society Annual Charity Hockey Tournament.
Right, and this one's
Are we, this is it's new too?
it looks like it's new too, yeah. I don't see previous motion.
Used to be.
Maybe it was something else before.
Sorry.
No?
The name, the hockey tournament has been going on now for a number of years. However, the name of the hockey tournament has changed. And that's all. It's
Okay.
still the same, it's just the name of it has changed.
Do you know what it was before?
Memorial. It's Memorial Hockey
The
Tournament.
dates have changed because it was on the family day usually.
This is still.
16.
January 20th. Oh, I'm looking at the
The date of the
letter,
letter, yeah, no,
sorry.
no, it's been maybe, I don't know how many years now, but.
It's gotta be 10 or better.
6,
Yeah.
6 years.
Is it 6?
What's the usual amount that we give?
They didn't have any background, I don't believe, because it was called something different, so I didn't know about it enough if I can
I
find it.
have a break, can they just look that up, because I'd like to match that funds. I thought it was higher, like, I thought it was 300.
To be honest, I don't remember if the town, they ever asked the town. It's like I'm having a moment where I usually remember stuff like that, but I don't remember it coming, I don't remember it coming to the town. Last year. Do you wanna go? Let's call a quick break.
Okay. We adjourn the meeting at 2:54.
We adjourn the meeting?
Yeah.
Re-adjourn.
Oh, rejoin, restart?
Recessed.
Come back from recess.
Return.
Did it re-adjourn? No, is that a word?
No,
No.
you made it up.
Look at that, I made it up. Marianne?
I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake sponsor the Smoky Lake Agricultural Society Annual Charity Hockey Tournament scheduled for the weekend of February 16th, 2024, with a monetary donation of $200 to be funded from the 2024 operating budget entitled Grants to Individuals, Organizations in reference to the letter from Carly Rosachek of the Smoky Lake Agricultural Society dated January 22nd, 2024.
All in favor? None opposed? It's reconvened.
That's it.
it.
I couldn't remember either because it didn't.
Yeah. Oh, in my brain.
I'm good with that.
11.3, sponsorship request. Carrie?
I'll move that town of Smoky Lake approve monetary sponsorship to the grade 12 wildlife class at HA Costa School in Smoky Lake in the amount of $300 for the fly-in fishing trip to Namur departing May 31st, 2024 to be funded from the 2024 operating budget entitled Grants to Individuals and Organizations in reference to the letter from Hal Ziprick, teacher, HAK, Costa, dated December 21st, 2023.
All in favor? Not opposed?
And one awesome trip that
Carrie?
is.
And maybe I'll take your offer on the food because I can't think. Just kidding. 11.4, sponsorship request, Kelowna Country Performing Arts Association. Mel?
I just have a question. So we used to do the printing, we're not doing that anymore?
Yeah, it was a different ask this year, because I see in 2022, we did the printing materials for the event. And then in 2015, we gave money, 200, and 2013, we gave 50, it's very, yeah.
Mel?
If we're not doing the printing, I'd be in favor of giving like a monetary donation of around $200. That's just my thoughts. But if we're doing the printing, then I would like to reconsider that.
I was just in favor of the motion.
Oh. Those were my thoughts. I wasn't making a motion. It's not my turn.
Anybody's turn.
It's, you know what, I'm fine with that, so let's just pass the motion. Okay. And then I'll make my comment.
Okay.
So
I'll
it's
make
my
the-
turn, isn't
Yeah,
it?
your turn.
Okay. You were saying, you were suggesting $200? So am I looking around the room?
Yeah.
That town of Smoky Lake sponsor the Kelowna Country Performing Arts Association Kelowna Festival to be held in town on March 2nd to 3rd, 2024, with monetary donation of $200 to be funded from the 2024 operating budget entitled Grants to Individuals / Organizations in reference to the letter from Kelowna Country Performing Arts Association.
All in favor? None opposed? Carried. And last but not least, in section 11, Smoky Lake Regional Heritage Board intent to designate plan number 5933 HW Block 6 Lot 1, formerly known as Signal House, as a municipal historic resource.
Hand this off to Robin.
Yeah, so the Smoky Lake Regional Heritage Board reached out to us with a recommendation that we designate the house formerly known as Signal House as a municipal historic resource. And I'm pretty sure most of you guys have been through this process with the Keene House and the CN station as well. So first step is to notify the landowner that we have the intention to designate, and that intention lasts for 60 days. Afterwards, we can pass a bylaw that actually designates it as a municipal historic resource. And in terms of getting that designation, it provides additional protections to the homeowner on the features of the home. So certain things cannot be changed without a heritage permit. And they are responsible to make sure that if there is a damage, it has to be brought back to its original condition. And if they ever do want to make any major changes, it has to fall within the context of the house, which is gonna be the statement of significance provided by the Smoky Lake Regional Heritage Board. And I've also attached the original one that was done from the 2012 regional inventory. They're very similar in terms of what's important of the house itself.
I just wanted to point out, I should have said this at the beginning, as there are other issues around legal with this property, it would be suitable if council did want to have any discussions around that, those implications, that you would make the motion to go into closed to discuss that part. This part is obviously open. We just didn't know, so I didn't put a recommendation, but legal would be in closed. Well,
I don't need to go into close for what I'm thinking is due to the fact that we are currently have some outstanding things happening. I would be not prepared to support this at this
To
moment.
defer to,
Yeah, I would
I
not be
agree with that.
prepared for that.
Not defer, but not the third option.
I can make the motion, I think it's my turn. I'll make a motion that at this time, the town of Smoky Lake does not designate plan number 5933 HW block 6 lot 1, formerly known as the Signal House, as a municipal historic resource.
Did you ever want to discuss? Okay, Evelyn?
Had a discussion with the previous owner who put a lot of work into doing this and actually was already under the impression that it was designated, so was surprised to learn from me that it had not, but he also did say, I defer to Noreen, so if Noreen says it hasn't been, then she's going to. This is something that started a while ago, and I do see this as two separate things, so I don't have an issue with this at all, because I don't see it related to other matters at all.
Well, then I think we should make a motion to go into closed session. For FOIP.
oh, I was gonna have it ready. Sorry.
Section, no, we are legal.
27? Legal privilege?
Yeah.
Section 27.
FOIP section 27, I'll make a motion to go right. Oh,
Oh my, okay.
yeah, no, let's go into
Quick closed?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor? Not opposed, carried. All right, Terry, make the motion.
I'll move to come out of closed session.
All in favor? None opposed. So that's carried, and then there is a motion on the table, that the town of Smoky Lake does not designate plan number 5933 HW block 6 lot 1 as municipal historic resource. So I'll call the question and we can go from there. All in favor? None opposed, so that'll be carried. All right, we'll move to correspondence to file for information. 12.1. Maybe that fun one. Is that you, Marianne, or we're still back to, no. There.
That the town of Smoky Lake, sorry, I moved that the town of Smoky Lake accept for information the attached correspondence items A through B as follows: Smoky Lake RCMP quarterly report and the gas rate summary, Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops Limited for December gas, January billing.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. And last minute additions, 13.1 MPC.
So we have a bylaw for MPC, and Councillor Cobb's actually pointed out to me, thank you, that it's missing a few components. So it says, and sorry, I had it printed, but I must have it on my desk. So it says that there are 3 members on the MPC board, but it doesn't say that it's 2 councillors and 1 member at large. And then with a member at large, it doesn't say, so I want to put in there, if you miss a certain number of meetings, you're automatically off. But we can remove a member with a motion because we added a member with a motion. So that's not an issue for this one. But because we have these applications coming in, I want to know, are we good with the 3 members at large? Or sorry, 1 member at large and 2 councillors. We have 2 applications so far. If the member of at large, are you okay with them being, do you want any clarification on where they live? Does it have to be in towns or can it be in the region? It's not in there.
Oh my.
Right now, we have 1 from the county, 1 from the region and 1 from town, and that's what we have. Or the other option is to change it to have 3 councillors instead of 2.
It's not
So-
because of COVID, it's special.
Yeah, so I want
It's
to,
missing an entire section on
Yeah.
member at large. That's what it is.
how to get
And it did
removed from
come
the committee.
before but it's missing.
So we do have 1 application if you say in town, we have 2 applications if you say within the region, or you could change it to 3 councillors. So I'm just looking for
section on
feedback.
membership.
Mel?
My suggestion would be that they have to be in town. Resident.
Do they have to be over 18 years old?
Yes.
See, that's what I mean. There's none of this
There's
is
nothing in there.
included.
Yeah, so I
But
think we need to
that should
tighten,
be,
we have to tighten it up. I think that it has to
So
be
there-
a
yes.
resident.
Okay,
It's not in our bylaw, like, and that's the standard. You're over 18 years old,
yeah,
you live in
that's why I was gonna say
town.
it should be
And
minimum.
what's the third, there's a third thing. There's 3 things and it's a standard with all municipalities. But this whole entire section on members at large is missing.
an MPC can be,
Thank you, that's it.
an
Thank you.
MPC can be, you know, it can be a mixture of council and members at large. Some are all of council. I believe the county switched theirs where it's
That's
part of
right,
their
yeah.
council meetings.
Oh.
And then it's basically any one meeting starting another meeting and it goes with the flow of the council meetings. So there's several ways you can do it. So if we're okay the way we've been doing it with 3 members, but right now we have 1 application. So we'll be bringing forward 1 application in the next one after I bring forward the bylaw, if you guys are good with that.
Terry?
We should, and I'm just thinking out loud, is the member at large should, I would assume, be a member of the community for a minimum of 5 years or something, so they have some knowledge of the place, like.
Well,
do
you
know
could,
what I mean? I'm let, go ahead.
sorry, I keep cutting you off. Go ahead, sorry, I should be cutting you off.
Or experience, right, like it's,
Mel?
Well, I think I see what you're saying, I just don't wanna limit the amount of
That's
people
right.
that would apply, so I think as long as they're a resident, there's 2 other counselors on there,
Right.
like, I don't think anybody can do anything
No.
too
scary.
out there, yeah, so.
And what I was gonna, sorry, rudely interrupting you and inappropriately, also when we would go into close, cause it's kind of like a interview of, you guys are gonna talk about who you want as a member, you can always choose whether or not to accept a member. So if there was someone that you just was like, that resident is brand new in town, to only lived here three months, or, and you chose that wasn't a suitable person, you can make the decision that they're not suitable for the board.
Right.
So you do have that decision.
Okay.
Robin?
Yeah, I was about to say the same
Sorry.
thing, basically, and you can write like preferential treatment will be given to someone who has been in the community longer, right?
That's nice,
Not
yeah.
limited, but you could.
Yeah, but that's actually the way
Yeah.
to say it.
That's right.
Preferential treatment will be given to. That's an excellent point to make.
So I want to have that in the agenda, and then we'll have the actual selection of the member
Okay, yeah.
after that, at the next meeting.
But also, and you guys, in here, 2 things that I'm gonna like continue to drumbeat when it comes to all of our boards, and that is, what I was pointing out earlier. But who do you want on the board? Who is, like, it's gonna be the 2 of you, but who do you want? Is it just some random? board member, or is there something, and that's why, in a way, a lot of municipalities actually have an application form
Yeah.
where actually you have questions. Why do you want to belong to this? Have you lived on the committee? What skill set do you have to? So this is why it's not just, RCDC, I think, was really screwed up because we had random board members at large. Ed Dick, I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep saying like, who should never have been added to the RCDC. That's the, Ed Dick should never have been a member at large. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot we weren't in camera. I completely forgot. So I'll take that back. No, I can't, it's on camera.
It's unrecorded.
No wonder.
I just wanted
what
to
are you
say,
doing?
because I'm not trying to preclude somebody because
Yeah.
they live in the county.
That's right.
Cause and I don't know the actual individual, but apparently there was a previous CAO from the county, just so you know. So I'm not trying to eliminate somebody for that reason. I just wanted, but I was looking for that direction from you.
Yeah, sounds good.
I don't remember the name either.
And it's been already put out, but
Yeah, I think it's, is it closed? No,
Last
it
one should
closed?
be done.
Okay. But was there an
This
date
is-
on it, or could somebody still
We
apply?
can, so they can still.
So they could still,
apply.
we could get more resumes up to the next council meeting to bring
Yeah.
forward.
well, so we're just looking for a motion for you to bring back the NPC bylaw to the next council meeting?
Sure, with, yeah, clarification on member at large.
Member at large position and
I'll clean it
restrictions.
up.
I'll make that motion. Okay, all in favor? None opposed, carried. 13.2, AAIP.
Okay, all it is approached by someone locally. Apparently her employer actually came into the office and inquired about it, whether we would do it. And it's normally something that we would give to an economic development officer to complete. But it is a way of getting, we have somebody in the community who wants to take nursing through Portage College. And she's asked us if we would complete this, which would, and then give us a designation, and I would like to just have a motion passed for you to look into it, potentially complete the program. The one question that the application I meant to say, the one thing that I have, it's through Alberta, and if I'm not mistaken, we made a motion for, and then Bonneville, but that was a federal program, correct? Not the Alberta program? And that's what I wanted to.
Yeah. So I had two people come in recently asking about immigration. I'm not specifically asking me to complete anything, just asking if we have any programs, and I referenced them back to the rural renewal stream. The county came forward asking if we wanted to regionally support rural renewal stream, which is supporting immigration in our community. We all supported it. But then we attended a Alberta Hub meeting where several municipalities were pulling out because there's so much downloading and work on the municipality that they were saying they needed 2 or 3 employees to do this. There was just so much work, it was ridiculous. So I know I believe that's why the county hasn't done anything with that, we supported that regional initiative, but we all kind of agreed, maybe off the record, that until the province takes steps to either minimize the red tape or provide better support for our municipalities, like we can't take something like that on if, there's a few that, so I'm not sure what type of work's involved with this. I can tell you that capacity wise, we're at 110% in our office right now. So I need staff that can take these things on. That's my challenge, is everyone's doing so many things like off the side of the desk, right? So I mean, I can look into the work involved, but if it's anything like the
That's all
rural
I'm
renewal
asking,
stream,
that's all I'm asking for.
it's huge, so.
But again, the program that you're talking about, I recall them saying not that it was provincial, but it was federal. In this one, her employer looked into it and called them. He came in here to see if we were part of it. Then he called them and they told him, and this is where the difference comes in. I think the one that you're talking about is federal, but I could be wrong. And also that he reported back that this was, they said it actually would be approved very quickly.
Yeah.
It's a very short waiting period but no, I'm not trying to create work.
Mhm.
And also it was through the economic development, like there's a whole section in here that talks about your economic development officer.
Rural renewal stream is Alberta.
So yeah, and then it goes through the AIP.
Oh, it still goes from there to AIP, so they're tied in?
Yeah, so AIP is the whole section of all the applications, and the rule stream is the designation that we would get. That allows us to process
Same
those
thing.
applications.
So it's all tied together? But I can look
So
into it
is
to
this-
double check.
Well, I was gonna say, it doesn't
Oh,
hurt to
Yeah,
make a
yeah.
motion to look into it and then we'll know.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Alright, all in
Yeah, it
favor?
is, it's under the rural renewal. It's the rural renewal. I'm on their website right now, Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, and it says that nominates people to become residents, and then you go on to the next step, and then the streams are, one of them is rural renewal. So it's the same thing as rural renewal. That we said we'd go forward regionally, and then we
It's
have.
the exact same
It's the
thing?
same thing.
Then,
And I did tell them that, I told them both that we were looking into it, but it was at a standstill, but.
but even if you go to the flip page, because a little side note, there's a change in owners for Shaw, so his name is on the back of that page. Okay, so he needs to have a.
Alright, Marianne, you had a motion? Go into closed, right?
Yeah.
All in favor? Alright, Marianne will continue on with the
Yeah.
closed session.
Motion, I move to go into closed session, 14.1 land, for section 16 subsection 1. Disclosure would be harmful to the business interests of the third party. And 14.2 CAO evaluation, for section 17, disclosure would be an unreasonable invasion of a third party's personal privacy.
All in favor? None opposed? Okay. Carried,
I'll move to come out of closed session.
all in favor? None opposed, carried. And you have a motion for the first 14.1, Mel?
Make a motion to accept for information, CAO evaluation, and to give a one-step increase to the grid, as well as,
The first one was land.
no, I'm
But that's
doing,
okay.
I'm doing
Yeah,
this one.
okay.
Keep finishing for 14.2, this is
Yeah.
good, this is good.
Well, it was, I guess, coming off, one-step increase to the grid and have it reevaluated every January. Effective January
January
1st and have it reevaluated every January after. And a mid-year
Evaluation.
with a mid-year check-in.
Check-in, yeah, that's it. June. Okay, all in favor? None opposed, so carried, and a motion regarding 14.1 land. Marianne?
I would, for direct administration I would move that the town of Smoky Lake administration inquire or research options
As discussed in the camera.
as discussed in executive session.
Sure.
In closed session,
Okay.
Why does it always come easy when you're listening?
Yeah.
just because we use closed session in our
Yeah,
procedure.
sorry.
No, that's fine, just making sure you're okay with my wording. So,
Yeah,
okay.
and is that
Yep,
what, does
that's
that
fine.
capture?
Can you read it
the-
back, please? Direct administration to inquire options as discussed in closed session.
Is
Do you want regarding
Pursue.
land, regarding the land?
pursue options or
It's fine.
Yeah.
Closed session can be vague until we get more
That's right.
specific, right? We're
Yeah.
just, yeah. Okay,
Okay,
that's
all
fine.
in favor? None opposed, so carried, and meeting is adjourned at 6:48. We haven't had one of those changes in a while.
We're due.
I know, but I wasn't